They need this at their own 48. Dalton back, throws it down the right side, over the top for Lamb at the 30, to the 20, on the run to the end zone. How about Andy Dalton and C.D. Lamb and 52 yards?
Dallas Cowboys Radio Network, and yes, in the NFC East, there is still life for the Dallas Cowboys, the cockroaches of the NFL. They will just not go away, and they have an opportunity. When you look at what's happened with the Washington football team, it is a win and you're in scenario for them, and then a play-in game between Dallas and the New York Giants next weekend, week 17 of the NFL. Yes, a 6-9 team with a chance to win a division. As yesterday in the NFL, teams with a chance to clinch went 0-5. So yeah, we know the top teams still have an opportunity. It was an incredible weekend. If you go back to Friday, Christmas Day, 6 touchdowns from Alvin Kamara. What we saw on Saturday out of Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers just a couple weeks out from the postseason, and then all the action yesterday. We have you covered. The NFL reaction, what it all means, looking forward, what it do, everyone. Welcome into the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal. JJ Buck, Micah, we got Jay Paul and Josh holding it down on the ProView side, and it's our quarterback, our coach, Ned James, joining us this week on the opening drive. Ned, happy holidays, man. How you doing?
Hey, doing great, man. Just getting adjusted here to the new format with the ProView guys in the studio and the Zoom and all that fun stuff. So this is great. Great week for football, boy. Great weekend for sports as well.
Oh, absolutely. It's been jam-packed as it has been since the sports world has started to try to get back to normal. But as we know, still, there's nothing normal about it. Whether we want to talk about the Cleveland Browns going into a weekend with only one wide receiver on their roster, having a bunch of dudes from the practice squad, and the New York Jets winning again, which, yes, we'll get into, and what that means for Trevor Lawrence, who looks like he's going to be going to Jacksonville. But we got to start with some of the big takeaways from yesterday. And it is who I still think is the best team in the NFL, but they needed a missed field goal at the end, and that is Kansas City to beat the Atlanta Falcons as they hold on 17-14 at home. Kansas City clinches the number 1 seed in the AFC, so they will not have to leave their home field in the postseason. And even in a situation where there's limited fans in attendance, it's still a huge benefit to get to play at your home stadium. You don't have to travel in the postseason. You got your own bed, got your own practice facility, etc. when it comes to the playoffs. But what we saw at Kansas City was a get-by game. Now, to me, they're still the most dangerous team in the NFL because they have that dude at quarterback. But Ned, it shows you, as we'll talk about with a lot of these games, nothing is a given in pro sports, and especially the NFL, because that was the first time in a long time Patrick Mahomes looked mortal, looked like just a dude at the quarterback position.
Yeah, and that's why people pick Atlanta to go to the Super Bowl every year. Atlanta's a pretty good team, and their quarterback is pretty good. A lot of people pick Atlanta early in the year because of Matt Ryan, and he looked like Matt Ryan. He looked like a really good NFL quarterback. And it, like you said, it is hard to win a game in the NFL. And that was a tough win for the Kansas City Chiefs. The missed field goal by a guy who's only missed one all year. That was just kind of just unreal to watch. That poor guy look at that field goal go off to the right and not be able to send the game into overtime. But boy, I've always said this. It's hard to win an NFL game, and it's going to be even harder in the coming weeks to win a playoff game. I just can't wait till we get to those Dallas Cowboys, because I want all these people that have called in, ripping Jerry Jones, ripping the Cowboys, to call in and take everything they said back, because it's a bright, sunny day in Albuquerque, because all the Dallas Cowboy fans in the city are cheering and are excited about a possibility of being in the playoffs for the city of Albuquerque, which is a Dallas Cowboy city.
Well, we can go there. The Dallas Cowboys 37-17 over the Philadelphia Eagles, talking about quarterbacks just looking average, and it's Jalen Hurts. He had a rookie quarterback performance. The first quarter was fantastic. They were up 14-3. In the first half, Philadelphia had a pretty good game, but it was the Andy Dalton that we expected. One of the guys that was coming into the season, we're looking at it going, all right, that's the best backup quarterback in the league. Now, that's a pretty good situation to be in. You don't want to see Dak Prescott go down. But now Dallas is also 6-9 because they do have a lot of warts on their football team. Defensively, they have been very bad at times. That offensive line is very hit or miss. But when that offense is firing on all cylinders, they have really good skill position players. Gallup, Cooper, CeeDee Lamb. You saw what Ezekiel Elliott did yesterday, but it goes back to Andy Dalton. 377 yards, 3 touchdowns, just 1 interception. And when that team is explosive, it takes pressure off that defense.
I don't want to say I told you so, but I told you so. Ezekiel Elliott, I said, was one of the best running backs in the NFL. I said that the Dallas Cowboys were not out of the playoff hunt. People laughed. People jeered. I said this is a team that, and Andy Dalton is really one of the good guys of the NFL. Really a super nice guy. I got a chance to meet him up in Cincinnati. Well, just a class act. Just happy for him. But I don't hear those critics calling in, complaining about Jerry Jones, complaining about how he's a bad owner, how he's ruining the team, because the Cowboys have a chance to make it to the playoffs. And that's how this NFL is. I mean, it's tough to win a game. It's tough to get into the playoffs. Everybody has a chance, and every week, and that's why the NFL and football is the greatest sport in the world. The NFL, because in week 17, you have all these scenarios that can change the outlook of the playoffs just based on one game. The Rams, everybody thought Sean McVay invented football. They would put him in the Hall of Fame after his first year. Now he's struggling to make a wild card bid in the playoffs. So it just always changes. You just never know what's going to happen. It's tough to win a game. Everybody's trying to win. All of a sudden, Sam Darnold doesn't look like a bust. He all of a sudden looks like the first quarterback drafted, second quarterback overall taken in the draft, but the top prospect in that draft class for quarterbacks that are starting to look pretty good. I mean, all of them now are looking pretty good. Even though one had to back up my guy in San Francisco, Josh Rosen, who I do like, even though I like CJ a little bit better. Jalen Hurts, the Jalen Hurts thing in the Dallas Cowboy game. Jalen Hurts, to me, it's tough because he's in that hybrid style quarterback position now. So I'm just not real sure where he fits in at. But to get up 14-3 is pretty good. But Andy Dalton is a pro's pro. He was able to kind of just steady the ship. And like you said, with those receivers and Michael Gallup, I mean, we were fortunate to see him in the Mountain West Conference. Boy, he's starting to look like he's going to be a rising star in the future here in the NFL.
Yeah, the situation with the receiving core in Dallas, last year, Michael Gallup proved he can be a legitimate number 2 option alongside Amari Cooper. And when they drafted CeeDee Lamb, it was a luxury pick. It felt like in the first round of the draft, especially when you started to see the issues that Dallas has. Some of the offensive line guys aging out defensively, a lot of the guys that they paid not playing up to that level. But luckily in the NFC East, that's just what we've seen out of all these teams, whether it's been injuries at the quarterback position or up and down play. You're in it because everyone else is also just 6-9. And if Dallas wins, they will be the only 7-win team in that division if Washington loses, which is why they would win the division. Now, the scenario is pretty simple. Washington wins on Sunday Night Football. They win the division. If they lose, it goes back to what happens, as we said, in that Dallas-New York Giants game. So that's something that we'll talk about throughout the week. But it was impressive performance. And to what you said, that Ezekiel Elliott after the game said, quote, "If you gave up 5-6 weeks ago, we wouldn't even want you on our side." Well, guess what? I wasn't on your side, Dallas. I did give up on you. I thought your issues were too much to overcome. But really, what Dallas did get lucky, and luck plays into it, because what happened at the quarterback position in Washington, having to go to Dwayne Haskins, change what they've looked like over the last couple of games. And Dwayne Haskins, who said he just had the worst week of his life. It was a reality check for him because, well, he put himself in that situation, looked bad on the football field once again. And Washington is hoping, Ron Rivera is praying at this point in time, that Alex Smith comes back next week to give him a chance in that football game. Because that's the one thing with Dwayne Haskins where initially I did not understand why Washington wanted to pull the trigger so quickly on him earlier this season, especially when they went to Kyle Allen, who played before he got hurt, and then Alex Smith came in. But what we've seen over the last 2 weeks from Dwayne Haskins, outside of the maskless incident that he had, it's just not good football. And that's one of the young quarterbacks in the league that needed, unfortunately, this reality check moment, the realization that, I could have just thrown away one of my last chances in this game, and Carolina made him look bad yesterday.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. He's a young player, probably should have stayed in college another year. But you can't fault guys coming out, and especially if they come from limited means and taking the opportunity to change the wealth in their families. And he might have came out a little bit too. He's a little immature, as we can see with some of the missteps that he's had. But at the same time, this guy is a really, really, really good talent prospect. So somebody's going to take a chance with him and try to develop him. It's unfortunate that he's had all these incidents come up, but that's the NFL for you. This is the age of COVID, so it's a lot different because of the protocols and some of the missteps that people are having, or some of the consequences that are a result of people testing positive or whatnot, or being exposed. But it's going to be okay, I think, in the long run, because it all evens out. I mean, when it gets to the playoffs, you're going to play against good teams. Whether they're 7-9, it's not the first time a 7-9 team has been in the playoffs, and so it's going to be interesting to see how those teams fare with the new format. But this is the age of COVID. Things aren't the usual, as they say, as far as how games are played and how fans are reacting to games and home field advantage and all that sort of stuff. So anything can happen. Anything's possible. So we may even see the Dallas Cowboys in the Super Bowl. Yeah, I said it.
I don't know.
We may see the Cowboys in the Super Bowl.
Mike rocking his Dallas Cowboys gear this morning. He's happy about that. To your point, there's a lot of happy Cowboy fans. And you just don't know. The last two teams that made the playoffs with a below 500 record at least won their first game. Now, getting to the Super Bowl is a different issue. And when we talk about the top of the NFC, there's a lot to get into, especially with New Orleans on Christmas Day and then what we saw to Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay last night. But we got to talk about Saturday. And we come back on the other side. What in the heck happened in Las Vegas? It felt like it was right there for the Raiders, and then it was ripped away by Ryan Fitzpatrick in the final seconds. And one Lobo alumni, Jason Sanders, kicking what would be the game-winning field goal. Got JJ Buckmicah, joined by Ned James this morning, Jay Pohl and Josh holding it down on the ProView side. You can watch us, Comcast Channel 26. You can stream us online. Find us on Facebook, facebook.com/TheOD in the AM, or search ProView Networks to watch the show. And, of course, we are here for you throughout the morning. 246-0610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline. You can email the show, jj@610canamel.com. We're talking that ridiculousness in Las Vegas next. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
You've seen Rich Eisen on...
Javi's looking, and he's got a guy wide open, and it's Gay, and he's gonna walk into the end zone. But he did a good job with it. First and goal, it's Chavez to the middle, and Chavez stops.
And Stevens in motion. On the handoff to Mitchell. Look out! Oh, see you later. Take it to the house. Fly. Cardinals fly. To the other side. Provide some protection. And off to Webskowski again. Look out. See you later. Good night. Touchdown. Webskowski. Day. He's going to fire to the end zone. Open man! Touchdown! Wildcat! Not a defender inside. A little bit. Skowski on the sideline! Hasta mañana! He's off to the races! Touchdown! Clovis!
Albuquerque this afternoon.
34-24. Rancho late in the third. How about this run? Nice play. Dickerman, he's still on his feet. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Exactly what they want to get yards.
He's going to go for it. He's got a guy towards the end zone. It's Krebs. Touchdown. What a play.
And long here for the Storm. Handoff to, we're going to fake the handoff, excuse me. Davidson on the deep ball. He's got some space, and it's caught. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Storm. Wow. Santa Maria.
And so they'll send one deep and returnable at the 2. Usually Volcano do either a reverse or a fake reverse, and here it is a reverse. And a move to the outside. There is a lane. Look out! Shot out of a cannon. Rodriguez is going to take it all the way.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Oldest down kick is up, and it's good! It's good! The Dolphins are going to win this game with 1 second left. It's Miami 26, the Raiders 25.
Miami Dolphins Radio Network. Jason Sanders, who is a fantastic kicker in the NFL. 44-yard field goal, no doubt about it. No hesitation. Miami was very comfortable from that distance as they somehow, some way beat the Las Vegas Raiders on Saturday to keep their playoff hopes alive and eliminate John Gruden and Vegas from playoff contention. What a wild final 2 minutes and really fourth quarter overall, because Brian Flores did it again. And you're sitting there going, is this the right decision? Can you keep pulling this rookie quarterback and finding a way to get Fitz magic? And maybe it is the best of both worlds with what they have in Tua Tagovailoa, the rookie, and Ryan Fitzpatrick. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, joined by Ned James, of course, Michael holding it down back at Radio Ranch, Jay Pole and Josh on the ProView side. And that game on Saturday was a rough one for Miami, and Tua and that offense did not look good at times. Vegas had a good game plan, explosive enough. You saw some big plays from Darren Waller, Nelson Aguilar, and John Gruden did the right thing. They ran the clock down, and with 19 seconds left, Carlson hit a 22-yard field goal, which gave the Raiders at that point in time a 2-point lead. And they just everything bad had to happen in 19 seconds, and it absolutely did. You had a rookie blowing coverage. You had a terrible face mask penalty on Ryan Fitzpatrick. And so he pretty much essentially threw a no-look Hail Mary pass that somehow landed in the hands of the wide receiver. And then, of course, with the face mask penalty, put the Dolphins in field goal range. So I know there were a lot of questions after the game to John Gruden. Why not just score a touchdown at that point in time? The Dolphins didn't have any timeouts left. There's 19 seconds left on the clock. That was the right decision. It's just everything that happened to Oakland on that one play was everything that could not have happened. Excuse me, Vegas on that one play was everything that could not have happened.
Yeah, and the clock is an issue. And they took advantage of the fact that, hey, we're going to milk this clock all the way down. They have no timeouts. There's no way. So they're playing cover two, and he throws it in that little side pocket there. But it really was a great play by Fitzmagic. I mean, Fitzpatrick, that throw was incredible. The reason why is because he looked off. He looked off the safety, and then he just threw it. He threw it away from the way he was looking, and so the safety, he just saw it late, and he got there just a millisecond too late, and they were able to complete the pass, and then of course the penalty. And then, they kick the field goal. They get on the bus and go home and won the game. But it was the right call by John. It's just unfortunate that's the way the game goes. It's a game of inches. People don't realize that. And so, especially in the professional ranks, you've got professional players, and these are things that happen. And I know we had you text me right before that thinking, okay, they're taking Tua out again, and they're putting back Fitzpatrick. But you got to give the coach credit for being creative enough to see that, hey, we need to make a change here. We need some momentum, something to change here to change our prospects in this game. And he did it at the exact right time because it worked out in the long run, which is what coaches are all hoping for anyway. But Tua is really, he's going to have to mature. These young quarterbacks, it's unfortunate Haskins didn't have that kind of mentorship. But sometimes if you get a good mentor like Fitzpatrick is, he's able to come in and mentor you and help you in a lot of different ways. And sometimes it includes coming in and taking over for you. So what a great game. That was really a fun game to watch. I know the Raiders are just disappointed because this seemed like it was going to be a year where they could sneak into the playoffs. Miami, that story in Miami, that's kind of a fairy tale story, if you ask me. If the Dolphins are able to manage to get into the playoffs because of where they've come from, and the fact that the AFC East is down this year because of the Patriots. I think it's because the Patriots lost so many guys that opted out, but because their defense was really good from last year. But it's another man's fortune. Someone's misfortune is another man's fortune. It looks like it's going to be the Bills and the Dolphins this year.
And so this happened earlier this season when Miami was in Denver, and it was a bad game for Tua. They didn't have any life. They weren't really moving the football. And then Ryan Fitzpatrick came in the fourth quarter. Now they didn't win that game like they did against the Raiders. So the questions after that contest were, was that the right thing to do? And was Brian Flores pulling the trigger too early on his rookie quarterback, not letting him try to get through that situation? And yeah, I kind of had that same sense again, like, okay, here we go. You're pulling this rookie quarterback, what's that going to do to his confidence? But the thing is, you have Brian Flores that is communicating well in this situation, because Ryan Fitzpatrick said it after the game that while he wants to be a starter, he's comfortable in this situation because Brian Flores talks with him throughout the game. and he lets him know that this situation is coming, that Tua knows, all right, well, I'm the starting quarterback now. There's a chance I could get pulled. And while no one wants to be in that situation, Brian Flores essentially has a starter and a closer. And he had to go to his closer to try to get him back in this game. And Ryan Fitzpatrick was 9 of 13 for 182 yards and a touchdown in the fourth quarter in his playing time. Tua in the whole game was 17 of 22 for just 94 yards and a touchdown. And that's the thing. Tua has been efficient. He's not turning the football over, but they're not getting those same explosive plays. And as good as this team can be at times, especially that defense, Brian Flores, that's just one thing Tua hasn't done yet, is taking that step forward, to throw some of those passes downfield and be aggressive. Now, I will say, if you watched what happened, Myles Gaskin, his touchdown reception was all him. It was only like a 10-yard throw, and then he cut back to the outside and raced down the sidelines. So that sometimes, stats can be a little deceiving, because that's easily a play that Tua could have made. It was a 10-yard pass, and then Gaskins did the rest. But it's that energy, it's that spark you get. And as a quarterback, Ned, as a coach, what do you think of the way Flores has handled those two guys in various situations this year?
I think he's taken advantage of the fact that Tua is not a guy who's going to get upset or get overly defensive that he's not afforded the opportunity to finish a game. Flores has made it clear, we're here to win the game. However we're going to win the game is the way we're going to do it. And that's it. I don't expect anybody else to comment outside of the fact that they're for the team and for the win. And whatever we have to do to win the game, that's what we're going to do. And this is what I believe it's going to take for us to win the game. And so he's apparently communicated that well enough to all the parties involved. Everybody's all on board. Everybody's buying into the culture and the team that he's trying to build there. And so it's working. They're playing well on defense, and so they're playing well enough to keep them in games. And that's all you want. And as far as the quarterback situation, the quarterback is no different than any other position. You really have to keep that in mind. I mean, I know it's a high price and you get paid a lot of money in the NFL, and it's the focal point when you win and when you lose. But at the same time, you still have to get production out of that position, just like you get out of any other position. So I think that's where Flores is coming from. He wants to make sure that they're getting production out of that position. And he believes that gives him the best chance to win, and it's been a working formula so far. So I'm sure he's going to stick with it. It's going to be interesting to see once you get to the playoffs, because it's tough in the playoffs to win. So I don't know if they're going to stay with the same formula or not once they get to the playoffs, but it'll just be a little bit more interesting to see how he goes about pulling the quarterback once they get to playoff type situation in the playoff game. So we'll see.
So Raider fans are frustrated. Of course, they're taking a lot of shots at John Gruden, which we have an NFL head coach making $10 million a year. It's understandable, but it was ultimately the right decision. You run that clock down. There were no timeouts left on the other side. Everything that could go wrong went wrong in that final possession of blown coverage by a rookie and a no-look pass on a face mask by Ryan Fitzpatrick, and the Dolphins win the game to keep their playoff hopes alive and eliminate the Raiders, who lost 5 of their last 6. So very frustrating way to go out at the end. And of course, that one victory happened to be the Hail Mary against the Jets. In the NFL, that'll happen, man. That league will make it rough on you. And that was, well, the last month and a half for the Las Vegas Raiders. 2460610 is the Quan's Auto Care hotline. A ton to still get to from the NFL. Of course, we'll talk a lot today. College football, look at what happened this past weekend. We'll look ahead throughout the week to the college football playoff semifinal. Shout out to Jeff Siembieda and crew. They got the New Mexico Bowl off on Thursday, Christmas Eve. It was a lot of fun. The marquee sporting event on the day. Hawaii over Houston. Respect the Mountain West.
That's
both
right.
Underdogs, Nevada and Hawaii, victorious. We'll talk about that. Of course, Jeff Siembieda will be with us next week. He's taking a little bit of a vacation post New Mexico Bowl, so that's why we're joined by Ned James, which is much appreciated. So when we come back on the other side, sometimes life gives you a chance. And we'll talk about one quarterback's emotional week that ended with a victory on Saturday. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Hi, it's little closer.
Oh, instead it's a gorgeous pass.
Here's what he'll
just shoot it.
He's going to go all the way.
He's gonna fire at the buzzer and he hits.
Great pass, Hadbury, and thank you very much.
Heavyweight tie in the district. Inside, fly, Eagles.
Chavez uses some athleticism. And then Morris down low, able to finish. You called it, Steve, in 10 seconds. And look at this, stripped, stolen Watson. Christian Lucero beats the buzzer. Here's Ian Chavez, the sharpshooter. Got it.
Couldn't have said that any better. He answered the question. He
On
got
a
another
steal
one.
at the buzzer. Back to back for Chavez.
To the paint. Medina from the volleyball lines. Medina wants another one from deep. Oh, he wants 10. Give him 10.
Lewis finds Watson. He's going to finish. One-handed slam. Vista, but just all the different scenarios we can see potentially play out ahead of the state tournament.
Moreno extra pass. And Watson. Out with it, Gallegos, and he's going to run all the way. Window, yes! Able to get out of it. How did he find Battle? It's to Cunningham, and it...
I mean, Ramos' hand. And
Ramos puts it up, beats the buzzer!
boy, Jefferson wide open.
Jefferson to Daraji! Into Watson with the jam!
Another steal by Davina Lovato, and here comes Agbaiosi. Lob, two-hand hammer. You knew that was coming. The lob tagged by Osi, the one-hand hammer.
Put up. And a drive from Parham.
Creates space. He gives it off to Rivas for the three, and he buries it. They'll be coming in soon. Double pick set for Avalos. Goes to the right. Avalos puts it up high. Window scores it as foul. Right here by Lewis all the way, coast to coast, and finish.
What a...
Around the screen. Against White, step back, it's blocked! JB with the block!
In transition, ahead to hit on for the two-hand hammer.
Seconds to go. They've got a shot. They have a chance, and it's put up, and it's good. What a three that is by Jalen.
Puts it up. Rebound, Cowboys. Right side, David Hall. Thank you very much.
Under center, I formation, Juszczyk ahead, play action. Juszczyk wide open, touchdown! San Francisco.
Yes.
49ers Radio Network, CJ Beathard, 3 touchdown passes on the day as San Francisco beats Arizona 20-12 on Saturday in a game that, I know most of y'all are probably picking Kyler Murray and 49ers, but Kyle Shanahan and company can coach. And their QB3, CJ Beathard, stepped up and had a huge game, and it was a very emotional week for the San Francisco quarterback. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck joined by our quarterback, Ned James. Got Micah, got Jay Pohl, and Josh holding it down on the ProView side. Quan's Auto Care hotline is 246-0610. And Ned, you have the experience, man. You've played the game, quarterbacking at UNM. You've coached at pretty much every level of football, and so I love the perspective that you bring. But you've also had a lot of opportunities to work with a lot of these guys, and you have that tree that gives you all these kind of different relationships throughout your career. And I love you bring that perspective, but then also share stories. And CJ Beathard is a guy that you've told me about over the last couple of years that he's just one of the players you really respect, a really good guy, and so many of these NFL players just fighting hard for that one shot. And you see that he's had a couple moments, but he was QB1 on Saturday, and he started kind of QB3 on the depth chart again as Nick Mullins struggled. So Kyle Shanahan goes to CJ Beathard. But the story about this past week is a lot more than just, hey, it was quarterback 3 started the game and won for the San Francisco 49ers. A year ago, so December 21st, 2019, CJ Beathard lost his brother as he was stabbed to death in Nashville. And that was something that CJ was still dealing with really to this time. And CJ had been growing his hair out because he said his brother liked his long hair look. So for the first time in a year last week, CJ Beathard, he got a haircut. And he said it was part of his process of moving forward and trying to handle the whole issue of his brother getting killed last December. So in the same week, which he lost his brother a year ago, he found out that he was starting for the San Francisco 49ers, and he went out there on Saturday and had a solid performance. He did what a quarterback 3 should do. 13 of 22, 182 yards, 3 touchdown passes, did not turn the football over, and had those red zone scores. But he said, quote, after the game, "It means more than I can really put into words. Everything that I've been through the last year, and it being the year anniversary of my brother passing, it's just one of those things that you really can't put into words. You can't write a script any different. I couldn't handpick this to go the way it did." And that is a story that people just don't know, but it really jumped out to me, knowing that you know the family, you've talked about CJ, and then just to see everything that he dealt with that week leading up to the start, and then also coming out there and being successful.
Yes, I can. Excuse me. I can remember exactly where we were when Clay was killed last year, because you and I were standing on the sidelines at the New Mexico Bowl. When I texted you, I could not believe what I was hearing from my friends in Nashville. And it's kind of full circle, with CJ playing, the bombing that happened. I had some friends here in Albuquerque that came to visit me in Nashville, and we ate dinner at one of the bars that was destroyed in the bombing that happened this weekend. So it was just kind of ironic, all these things, all these terms that came in. And CJ was a young man. I know a lot of people who are listening really know this, but I coached him in high school. I had him, his brother Tucker, who's a country music star. The dad, Casey, is a famous country music songwriter. And of course, Clay, the younger brother, would hang around all the time, and I got a chance to coach him and everything. But the grandfather, Bobby Beathard, the Hall of Fame GM of the Chargers and the Washington Redskins, would come to practice all the time. So the family and I really knew a lot about the family. Knew CJ. We text all the time. I've been texting him and talk to him a little bit when I was up in Cleveland because he and Christian Kirksey are such good friends. Who's with the Packers now. And so it was just great because I knew I'd been texting you about the fact that I was hoping that CJ would get a chance to start and play. It's just ironic it came on the anniversary of the death of his brother Clay. I've been sending him some positive messages all season long just to stay up, stay ready, just coach speak. And he's texting me back. He texted me back right after the game, because I just congratulated him for having a great game. And he had texted me back, just saying thanks. And, he was glad that I was kind of in his corner, just supporting him all year with what's been happening with the fact that they're mourning the death of their younger brother, Clay. But it was just great to see him. It's great to see him out there having fun. And I've always told him to just enjoy himself, that he was ready, just to make sure he stays ready for these games. And he has stayed ready. And so it showed because he was able to go out and perform the way he did. And I'm just so happy and so proud for him and his family. And he's got a child now, so he's got a little responsibility. And it's just it kind of, it's almost like having your own child, because you see, the fruits of your labor. And I'm glad he didn't listen to me in some ways too, as a parent, because he had a 90-mile-an-hour fastball. I tried to talk him into playing baseball when he was coming out of high school because he was such a good baseball player. He was kind of a thin guy. But I'm just proud to see that he found his own course and was able to get into the NFL and to be able to play so well and to do so well. But it's been great. It was great, kind of texting with you, getting excited about him performing well. I was just hoping that he would perform well. I knew it was the anniversary because I knew it was around the time of the New Mexico Bowl. Because I always go back to being on that sideline when I got the message from my friends in Nashville about Clay the night before being killed. So. It was great, and it's a great story, and he talked about it after the game in his interview, and so much that he was glad to kind of, like you said, kind of get some closure, and I think his brother was up above, kind of smiling and happy that he was able to play as well as he did.
Yeah, and that's too also when you look at San Francisco, Kyle Shanahan and company, that is a really good coaching staff because they have probably been more injured than any team in the NFL this season. And we know everything that's been also happening with the COVID-related illnesses that have kept players out, but they have had spurts where you see, oh yeah, this is a San Francisco team we thought was going to be competitive. And anytime you get down to QB3, you're just not too sure what you're going to get. But you got a good game plan that was executed on Saturday. Defensively, they looked pretty good. And one of the things we'll talk about too, we have to take this break, is what's next for Arizona, because Kyler Murray has definitely flashed, and we believe he can be one of the dudes in the NFL. And Cliff Kingsbury, not too shabby so far, but they've had some big missteps this season, which has them right now on the outside looking in. When we come back on the other side, just give him a basketball and he will ball. James Harden took the court on Saturday for the first time this season. What happened? How did he look? Yeah. And we'll recap some of that NBA action from Christmas Day. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal.
Mucinex presents Trusted Allies of Doctors. Throughout history, doctors have used tools they trust.
Call it as Javi's looking, and he's got a guy wide open, and it's Gay, and he's going to walk into the end zone. Did a good job with it. First and goal. It's Chavez to the middle, and Chavez stops.
And Stevens in motion on the handoff to Mitchell. Look out! Oh, see you later. Take it to the house. Fly, Cardinals fly. To the other side, provide some protection. And off to Webskowski again. Look out. See you later. Good night. Touchdown, Webskowski. Day. He's going to fire to the end zone. Open man, touchdown, Wildcats. Not a defender inside.
A little bit.
Kowski on the sideline. Asta Manana, he's off to the races. Touchdown, Clovis.
Albuquerque this afternoon.
34-24. Rancho late in the third. How about this run? Nice play. Dickerman, he's still on his feet. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Exactly what they want to get yards.
He's going to go for it. He's got a guy towards the end zone. It's grabbed. Touchdown. What a play.
And long here for the Storm. Hand off to, we're going to fake the handoff, excuse me. Davidson on the deep ball. He's got some space, and it's caught. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Storm. Wow. Santa Maria.
And so they'll send one deep and returnable at the 2. Usually Volcano do either a reverse or a fake reverse, and here it is a reverse. And a move to the outside. There is a lane. Look out! Shot out of a cannon. Rodriguez is going to take it all the way.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walk up to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
I'll just get a little closer.
Oh, instead it's a gorgeous pass.
The 47 minutes was, felt like my conditioning, could be better, obviously, but it was pretty solid. I think we live on good.
That was James Harden following Saturday night's 128-126 overtime loss in Portland. It was the Houston Rockets' first game of the season. They had their opener postponed due to not having enough players available, and this was a contest in which I thought they were going to struggle, but as many issues as James Harden has had kind of brought on himself for the last couple weeks, you give that dude a basketball and he is still going to ball out. 44, 4, and 17 for James Harden. Yes, Portland won the game. CJ McCollum answered with 44 points himself, but it was a huge reminder of just how good the dude is. Now, is there other things you don't want to deal with right now with James Harden? Possibly. But you give him a basketball, he showed up, went to work, and got the job done on Saturday night. Now, when it comes to the NBA, there's still a lot of questions, especially if you look at the Los Angeles Clippers. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal. JJ Buck joined by Ned James this morning. Of course, we got Micah, Jay, Josh. They're holding it down on the ProView side. Micah taking your calls 246-0610 is Equan's Auto Care Hotline. Now, James Harden did not do a good job showing up to work, but once he got there, he balled out. And he is the hardest player to figure out what works, because he doesn't want to be in Houston, but there's not a situation for him to go to, because for fair trade value, you're going to have to blow up your team to acquire James Harden. So you understand why, say, Philadelphia or Miami or these other contenders, the Nuggets were rumored to be thinking about it, wouldn't want to give up too much at this point in time to bring him in. But the dude can still ball out. And it was evident on Saturday night going toe-to-toe with the Portland Trailblazers, who I think can be one of the best teams in the Western Conference when you have Damian Lillard, CJ McCollum, Nurkic, etc. And pretty much a 10-man Houston Rockets team that was down to a bunch of dudes they had to call up for this game on Saturday, took them to the wire because of how good James Harden is. It's challenging where you acknowledge, all right, James, you didn't handle last couple weeks well, but just once you get in your element, we know what you can do.
Yeah, I mean, it's a real first world problem. You turn down $100 million and you can dribble. Man, that must be nice. All you do is dribble and shoot, and you can say, hey, look, that $100 million, that's not enough cheddar for me, not enough cheese for me. I need something better. I need to be out of this. And one of the things that James Harden can kind of get away with, and that's why I don't think he's been attacked as much as people think he should have been attacked, because he's been out and about during the pandemic, and he's not adhering a lot to some of the protocols, is because of the owner. The owner was controversial. Daryl Morey, I felt, was trying to be the intermediary. I think Morey almost got himself in trouble trying to be the humanitarian, especially when he spoke out against the communist regime of China, he sided with the dissidents in Hong Kong. I thought he was trying to be in the middle, because the owner is so far on the other side. The owner was kind of a Trump guy, which the players during the social justice stuff, Harden and all those guys were really strong for, and the fact that the owner was really kind of pushing this other political agenda. I think that got Harden kind of a pass, I think, with the media. And so I think Harden keeps pushing that a little bit once the media comes at him a little bit. Look at this guy. What you talking about me? Let's talk about what this guy has done. Look at who he's supporting. And so, and you guys want to get on me. And so I think Harden is kind of, he's got a little bit of a first world issue, because he's taking the guy's money, but at the same time he's got this whole thing where he's trying to. He and Westbrook were both kind of fighting that when the owner really didn't take a strong stance with them during the social justice causes that they were protesting about. But he's got first world issues. I mean, a guy can turn down $100 million, and all he does is dribble and shoot. That's something that a lot of us can't really wrap our minds around. We can't comprehend. I mean,
I can dribble and shoot. I just can't do it as good as James Harden does. But it's an interesting point too when you just look at the dynamics within the Houston organization. Of course, Daryl Morey, before the season he stepped down. Now he's working in Philadelphia, and how that's playing out moving forward with it. But it's one that it was a reminder. All right, this dude is good. Yeah, there's a lot of questions, and James Harden made a lot of mistakes before the season started. To your point, just bouncing around. He was in Vegas, he was in Atlanta, doing all these things, which we don't want to do. And somehow, some way, of course, it would work out this way. It was, James Harden wasn't the reason that the rest of the team was in COVID protocol. It happened to be there was a rookie that tested positive, that John Wall and DeMarcus Cousins were around when they were getting a haircut. That's why those guys were out. They had so many limited numbers. So it's messy in Houston. But the simple thing is, put a ball in his hand, and he's still going to ball out. The big story to me was the Los Angeles Clippers. What happened to them over the last 30 days? On Christmas, they beat the Nuggets, the nightcap, to wrap up the NBA Christmas Day schedule, and they looked good. And it was because of Paul George. He looks like a different player this season. As bad as they ended in the bubble, losing that 3-1 playoff deficit to the Nuggets, Friday night, you saw a good Kawhi. You saw great Paul George in that moment as they win. Now, Kawhi took a shot, cut his face open, had to get some stitches. He was not playing yesterday. But I was ready. I was coming in. I had my Clippers take. I'm like, I believe in this team. I think they're going to take a step forward. And then they go out there, and they're down by 50 points at halftime. 50 points. Kawhi Leonard's really good. But is it to the point where you should be down by 50 points at halftime to the Dallas Mavericks and ultimately lose that game by 51? Absolutely not. That is as sleepwalking as you can on a game on a Sunday. How do you trail by 50 at halftime?
I think the rim had a cover on it because they were shooting those threes and it was bouncing off of that rim like they were at an amusement park trying to win a giant teddy bear or something. And they just could not get the ball in the hole at any point in the beginning of that game. And so they fell into this deep hole. But you should, as an NBA team, fall by 50 points at halftime. There's no way on God's green earth you should be able to not have at least 25, 30 points. But I can't see 50.
Amazing. It was insane. It was thumbs up to Team Fluffy. James Harden, Luka Doncic. Those guys might look like they packed on a little weight, but they can get the plays done when you put them in position. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Bucknet Jams got Michael, got J. Paul, and Josh holding it down on the ProView side. A lot to come. Come back on the other side. We'll talk New Mexico Bowl and Mountain West football. That is next on The Sports Animal.
Let's get a little closer.
Oh, instead it's a gorgeous pass.
Here's what
Hill's gonna just shoot it.
He's going to go all the way.
And he's gonna fire at the buzzer, and he hits.
Great pass, Hadbury, and thank you very much.
Tie in the district. Inside, fly, Eagles.
Chavez uses some athleticism. And then Morris down low, able to finish. You called it, Steve, in 10 seconds. And look at this. Stripped, stolen Watson. Christian Lucero beats the buzzer. Here's Ian Chavez, the sharpshooter. Got it.
Said that any better. He answered the question. He
On
got
a
another
steal
one.
at the buzzer. Back to back for Chavez.
To the paint. Medina from the volleyball lines. Medina wants another one from deep. Oh, he wants 10. Give him 10.
Lewis finds Watson. He's going to finish. One-handed slam. Vista, but just all the different scenarios we could see potentially play out ahead of the state tournament.
Oh!
Ho, ho, ho.
Moreno extra pass. And Watson. Out with it, Gallegos, and he's going to run all the way. Window, yes! Able to get out of it. How did he find Battle? It's to Cunningham, and it...
I mean, Ramos' hand. And
Ramos puts it up, beats the buzzer!
Boy, Jefferson wide open.
Jefferson to Daraji. Into Watson with the jam.
Far ball again. Another steal by Davina Lovato, and here comes Agbayosi. Lob, two-hand hammer. You knew that was coming.
He would respond, and Calvin Turner said, right here, let me step up. I got you, coach.
Highlight courtesy of ESPN going back to Thursday's New Mexico Bowl, which played in Frisco, Texas this season, but a 28-14 win for Hawaii. The Mountain West 2-0 so far in bowl season, but shout out to Jeff Siembieda and all those involved, especially those at the Frisco Bowl, which helped them out moving that game to Toyota Stadium, home of FC Dallas, and just able to get the game in what we know has been such a challenging year for so many, and then those in the sports world. And we still see bowl games that have been canceled, that it's over 10 that were canceled prior, and then games that were set, which we've seen lost due to issues within programs. So just able to get the game in the 15th New Mexico Bowl. It was sad that we couldn't be a part of it, but just to see the tradition continue was very good. And what a day for the Mountain West. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610. The Sports Animal, JJ Buck, joined by our quarterback, Ned James, got Micah, Jay Paul, and Josh. Holding it down on the ProView side, you can watch us on Comcast Channel 26. Also stream us online. Facebook is a simple way to find the show as well. Just search ProView Networks or the opening drive to watch the stream. You can call the show today. Quan's Auto Care hotline is 246-0610. Send an email, jj@610canamel.com. This was an easy one. When this line opened, Houston were 13-point favorites. No doubt in my mind, Hawaii was not just going to cover that number, but win this game. And that was really evident. Dana Holgerson, after the game, talking about how they're just glad to be done. They had a ton of issues. Apparently, Houston, some of their players didn't realize that you still had to stay academically eligible this season. So it wasn't just COVID issues. They had upwards of 20 dudes that could not play in this game because they essentially stopped going to class this semester. And we know it was challenging. Everything was online, but you still got to finish your schoolwork. So Houston was an absolute mess coming in this game. Hawaii was locked in year one under Todd Graham, successful. They're able to end with a bowl victory. And the Mountain West, hey, you take the victories when you can, and a 2-0 bowl season, and both underdogs, to me, were easy winners to pick in Nevada and Hawaii.
Yeah, I mean, Holgerson, you got to feel for the guy, but it falls on him. I mean, you can't have 20 guys not going to – I mean, you can have 3, you can have 4 or 5. You can't have 20. It comes back to the coach. It's not going to be on those kids. And it's unfortunate, but that's how it works in college. It's never going to be the kid. It's not going to be the kid's fault. It's going to be the coach's fault. Now, the pros, it's going to be the player's fault. But in college, it's going to be the coach's fault when the kids aren't going to class. So that was unfortunate. It was a great game. I'm glad for the Mountain West. Like you said, we talked earlier about Mountain West being, 2-0 now in bowl games. And so we're going to see what San Jose is made of when they play the champs from that conference, Ball State. And so that should be a good game as well. The Houston game, I was expecting a little bit, more from Houston, but Hawaii got on top of them quick, and it was an uphill battle from that point on. But those things happen. You're in college. You're dealing with student athletes. This is a different year with protocols, and so you just have to expect something strange to happen during these bowl games, and we're not done yet. I mean, these bowl games are coming up. We got the New Mexico bowl game off with some hiccups from the Houston team, but there's going to be some things on the horizon that we're not going to expect that's going to come at us. So just be ready for it.
Well, yeah, but as we've seen, it's changed on a daily basis. Kind of even the Big Ten and things that they've adjusted along the way to really make sure Ohio State gets where they need to go, and that is the college football playoff semifinal games, which will take place on Friday. Fingers crossed if you're a college football fan that we'll get to that point with those marquee games. But in looking at what the Mountain West was able to do this season, they lost some games in the schedule, which was going to happen, but overall, I think it was a solid year for the conference, especially what San Jose State was able to do. Brent Brennan and this team going 7-0, and they had convincing victories. They beat San Diego State. They beat Boise State in the Mountain West title game. And to win the league in a season which was just straight conference play, to me that still matters a lot, because that's the majority of your schedule. That is what you're going to be judged on year in and year out. Yeah, the non-conference games and your chance to play a power opponent, etc. That's good in a regular season, but still, I thought you could gain a lot from a year like this because it's all conference play. And whether it was New Mexico finishing with 2 wins is showing a step forward. But I really think San Jose State, which, yes, Ned, they're now good at football. But what do you think about that? Because we were talking about how important it was for the Mountain West as a whole to see a team develop and rebuild like that to win the conference, because it helps your brand and also shows everyone else that you can do that. You can get it done in this conference.
Yeah. Now, I know some of the history of that particular school, and particularly these state schools in California. I coached at Long Beach State when they had a football team back in the day. So the state system in California is a little tricky, and they've come under fire a little bit because they're having budgetary issues. So that's where some of the struggles have come from the state schools, the Fresno States, the San Diego States, the San Jose States, and the likes. But when you're in an area where there's 5 million people, you eventually are going to get good. I mean, San Jose State, the San Diego State, I mean, those people, there's a lot of human beings, there are a lot of kids in those areas to choose from. So eventually, if you build it the right way, you will eventually get good because of the numbers, which I think they have an advantage from that standpoint. But Brennan has done a great job. There was a time when San Jose State, I think they went 12-1 one year. This was in the late 80s, maybe 90s, when they were a 12-1 team. And they had pro players on their team because of the area, the Bay Area. They're in that Bay Area. So I'm proud of San Jose being able to build up from this conference. I've got some strong opinions, and I do, on this Boise thing. So I can't wait till we get to that with Harsin later on. As far as how the conference is structured, the conference is looking good. I mean, San Jose is ranked, and so that's always good for your conference when you have ranked teams from your conference. Should they be ranked a little higher? I don't know, but we'll see. This Ball State team is a pretty good team, so we'll see how it goes once they play here. I think they're playing Thursday, and so we're going to see just how good San Jose is, but. Like you said, they've come a long way. They've put some money into it. They've had some independent contributors come forth and try to help build that program. So it'll be good to see how they go moving forward, because I think this will be good for their program being in this bowl game and doing something. And they're struggling because California has these strict, really strict. COVID rules and protocols, and so these California teams are having to, and they had to live essentially 150 miles away from their campus this past year just so they could practice, and so they've overcome a lot as well. But it'll be great to see if they're able to kind of culminate this season with a big win against Ball State.
Yeah, they had to, at the end of the year, join New Mexico in Las Vegas to finish their season when they had, the close contact practices could not take place in Santa Clara County where they were. So they went to Vegas, because where do you go in a global pandemic? You go to Las Vegas to be able to get the job done. But it worked for the Lobos this season, being able to kind of bubble in Henderson and use Sam Boyd Stadium. And yeah, that's what you have a collegiate football stadium available once UNLV became co-tenants in Allegiant Stadium where the Raiders are playing. It worked out. And of course, that's where they played and won the Mountain West title game, San Jose State beating Boise State. But it's a positive moving forward for this conference to see a team that so many people wanted to kick out of the conference. Like, there were articles, there was a conversation, with San Jose State dragging down the Mountain West. They do nothing on the basketball court. They've been so bad at football for so long. But you get the right coach in there, you get the right staff, and to your point, Ned, they got the players in, they developed, and they were able to hit on the transfer. Nick Starkel coming in, a dude who started at Texas A&M, struggled at Arkansas, but then finally got his shot at San Jose State this year. He was efficient, he was solid, but to me what stood out was their defense, and they played the best defense of anyone in the Mountain West Conference. You play complimentary football, you're going to give yourself a chance to win. In that case, it was an undefeated season, a Mountain West title. Yeah, I mean, they deserve it too. I mean, you got the Boise States in there that think that they should be in the Power 5 conference and they should be an independent like Notre Dame. And I've got some strong opinions about the Boise's and the Gonzagas and the BYU's of the world in this region. But we'll get into that a little later. But San Jose, I think, has just really done a remarkable job in how they've been able to just build it slowly. Brennan's done a good job of bringing it up slowly with young players, and you got to hit on the quarterbacks. You got to hit on the transfer, like you said. The quarterback is big. You got to get a quarterback who can really kind of propel your team. That's been the struggles at UNM. Just not getting that trigger guy that can not lose the games for you and win you a couple games. And so that's what they have to look forward to. I mean, they got lucky. They got lucky on that hit, and so. They were able to kind of parlay that into a successful season, and I'm glad to see it. So. We'll get into Brian Harsin and Boise State when we come back on the other side. Also, New Mexico State, the men's basketball team, finally has a basketball game. We'll tell you about that. It's JJ Buck, joined by Ned James. We got Mike holding it down. Jay, Pohl, and Josh on ProView Network's The Opening Drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Safeguard against germs.
The lob, tagged by Osi, the one-hand hammer.
Put up. And a drive from Parham.
Creates space. He gives it off to Rivas for the three, and he buries it.
Could be coming in soon. Double pick set for Avalos. Goes to the right. Avalos puts it up high. Window. Scores it as foul.
Right here by Lewis all the way, coast to coast, and finish.
What a...
Around the screen, against White, step back, it's blocked! JB with the block!
In transition, ahead to hit on for the two-hand hammer.
Minutes to go, they've got a shot, they have a chance, and it's put up, and it's good! What a three that is by Jalen.
Hidon puts it up.
Rebound Cowboys. Right side David Hall. Thank you very much. Here come the Cowboys. Domina Lovato lays it up. Missed it. Hey, how about it? Thank you, Lusses. Thank you very much, Raquan Mitchell. Clock at 6. They get it. Barnes Tompkins fires. Yes! Pass up court. This for the win. Blocked by DJ Bustos. Cowboys win. Cowboys win.
New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game. Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rollins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
It's his second field goal. He's got 4 points. Watson, though, goes all the way.
Hit the deck, I should say. Cordova tried to throw it off. Romero, a 3 for...
Set out to Jutapia. Nice move behind his back. It's a good... Here's Ramos, step back, high arcing, 20!
Well, he needed to get his legs back under him.
Ooh, a little kick.
They leave it one more time. Two-hand hammer.
Look at this, they're not going to score again. Look at this.
Up top. Yes, and the finish for Akbayosi. Saved into the hands of Riak, ahead of the pack to Davina Lovato. Up high, down hard for Akbayosi. Out of the corner, Casals, the 3-0, Katenge! Let me clean up the mess! He dropped out of the rafters for that one, Steve.
For the first time in 27 days, New Mexico State's men's basketball team will take the court this afternoon in California. They announced on Saturday that they'll take on Cal State Northridge, and they'll take the floor this afternoon, 3 p.m. Mountain Time tip-off. But finally, back on the court for the Aggie men. It'll also be their first Division I opponent of the season. They had 2 NAIA victories back on November 29th and December 1st. And then hit some snags in the schedule. They had some COVID issues pop up. They had to put their program on pause. Lost a couple games that they had, and then finally were able to put one together. So Christians and New Mexico State back on the court today. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, joined by Ned James. Got Micah back at Radio Ranch, J. Pole, Josh on the ProView side. You can watch the show Comcast Channel 26. You can also stream us online. Facebook is a great way to find it as well. Just search ProView Networks or the opening drive. Watch the show, interact throughout the morning. Of course, Quan's Auto Care hotline is 246-0610. Well, Christians talked with Jeff Grammer over the weekend. He said, quote, "I don't know what to expect, to be honest with you." And getting his team back on the court for the first time in 27 days. Now, where they are at in Phoenix, the hotel they're staying at, they were able to put a basketball court in the ballroom. So they have a practice facility on the road. And we know that's been a huge challenge for the Lobo men's basketball team, is lack of court time. So at least if you're New Mexico State, you've had a place where your players can go get up shots, you can work on practicing, and you don't have to split time, not someone else's arena. So that's been a positive for them when they've been able to play. But Ned, Now, as a coach, as someone that's been in that game, how much work is put in on a daily basis when you're talking about practice, because these guys aren't Allen Iverson. You need practice in college athletics, but to be away in season 27 days, half that essentially being quarantined, it's challenging, but man, once you're in it, you realize just how much harder it is to deal with a season like this.
Right. And football, took the bull by the horns and went ahead and went with it. So you got to adjust, and you can't have any excuses. If the Lobo men's basketball team were staying in a trailer park in Alamogordo, New Mexico, and all they could play on was cement or concrete basketball courts, they still got to get some shots in. You got to find a way, and I'm using that as an analogy because they're not staying in some trailer park somewhere. They're staying in hotels. They've got to find rims. They got to get up shots. There's no excuse for not making free throws. There's no excuse for not making shots when you're on basketball scholarship. You got to go find a place to shoot. If you're not in state, you're in a state where there's basketball courts. You got to go find a place to get some shots up. I'm sure, with the school being out now, it's cold, the weather, it's hard. Okay, but you got to find a way to get it done. There's not going to be anybody giving you a handout. You're not getting anything. You're going to have to earn it. So you're going to have to find a way to get your shot. And so I understand on one part that, yeah, okay, this is not normal work. The way our state is going about saving lives, which I believe that's the governor's position, and it should be her position, is to save lives. And it's not allowing certain people to have exceptions over other people. And so these are the rules. And so with that being said, they've got to go out and find a way to get their job done. I'm not buying the whole, if we don't have a gym, we don't have a floor, we can't practice, we can't do this. No, you got to find a way to get it done. The Lobo men's football team went out there. It was a struggle early. They found a way to get it done late in the season. Something's got to happen. Something's got to come up. They got to find they got to find a shooter. They got to find a scorer. They got to find somebody who can play some tenacious defense, and they got to get some wins. That's going to solve the problem. So, and that's the expectation of the fan base in New Mexico, and that's the expectation of the fan base down in Las Cruces. Our little brothers from New Mexico State. They're going to have to find a way to get things done. I mean, they're probably a little bit better situation in some respects from what I'm hearing. But at the same time, nobody's going to feel sorry for you. You're going to have to find a way to get the job done. The women's team has found a way to get some wins in. The men's team is going to have to find a way to get some wins in. And that's, I guess I was being a little sarcastic with the whole Alamogordo trailer park, and you got to go find some concrete or some, I don't know, some outdoor basketball courts.
It's a sponsorship opportunity, right? Send some rims to the Lobo men's basketball team and get them put up in the parking lot. But yeah, it's challenging, and I understand your point. Ultimately, if you're going to move forward, then you got to find a way to deal with it. Now, I will say, for the most part, though, with what we've seen, especially Danny Gonzalez and company with the football team, even Lobo men's and women's basketball at New Mexico State, it's to your point there. They're not using excuses, because no one wants to hear that right now. Like, this year has stunk for so many people, but it is a real challenge, and what these student athletes and coaches are going through to play. There is a lot of sacrifices themselves for just living on the road. But if this is the decision that you make, and athletics, to move forward in it, then you just got to find a way to get it done and try to put yourself in the best possible situation in such a challenging situation. So for the Lobo men, they're back on the road to Lubbock Christian. That is where they're going to play their upcoming basketball games. They're back in action on Thursday. So New Year's Eve, the Lobos will host Nevada at Lubbock Christian University. So they hopped on the bus, took that 6-hour drive, after a little holiday break for themselves, got the team back together, and we'll hit that practice court. And then they'll have those back-to-back games against Nevada. For the Lobo women, they're on the road. They'll start their conference play in Reno, so they will play Thursday and Saturday as well against the Wolfpack, so that mirror scheduling in Mountain West play. But it's, like I said, it's challenges No one wants to hear excuses. We can acknowledge the challenges, of the situation, the difficulty of it all. But if you're going to move forward, like you said, then you got to find a way. If you're saying, hey, we're going to take the court, we want to play, we want to give these kids an opportunity, then you got to try to find, give the kids, give the student athletes a chance then.
Right. And we're assuming that everybody has the best of this world that we're living in, that Nevada is doing much better, Boise's doing much better than our guys are doing simply because they're playing in Boise. Well, yeah, maybe. We don't know that. At the end of the day, our guys have accommodations. They're able to go to school online, which a lot of schools are going to school online, and they have an ability to find a place to put some shots up at. With that being said, they got to find a way to win a game. You got to figure it out. You got to adjust as a coaching staff. You got to adjust your teaching. You got to figure it out. And that's what they're in the process of doing. I think Paul Weir is a very bright young coach. He's got a doctor by his name now, Dr. Weir. So, doctor, figure it out. Get it done. We're not waiting to hear, what. Somebody couldn't find a rim or they're eating at Perkins or some restaurant, Denny's or something. People don't want to hear that. They want to know, okay, once the ball is tipped off, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? Are we going to put the ball in the hoop or are we going to look for ways out? This team has got to, find people who can put the ball in the hole, who can play defense, and it'll solve all their problems if they can just find those two elements right there. And that's what we're all looking for.
Right. It's if only it was that simple, but that is also the job of a coaching staff, to try to put these players in the best situation possible to compete, even in the most challenging of situations. The opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Sound. When we come back on the other side, we will not be ramming it today, because, there's issues in LA, but Seattle clinched the NFC West. What to make of that division, and then the future of Russell Wilson and, of course, Jared Goff this season. We'll talk about that next here on The Sports Animal.
As Javi's looking, and he's got a guy wide open, and it's Gay, and he's gonna walk into the end zone. But he did a good job with it. First and goal, it's Chavez to the middle, and Chavez stops.
And Stevens in motion. On the handoff to Mitchell. Look out! Oh, see you later. Take it to the house. Fly, Cardinals fly. To the other side, provide some protection. And off to Webskowski again. Look out. See you later. Good night. Touchdown, Webskowski. Day. He's going to fire to the end zone. Open man, touchdown, Wildcats. Not a defender inside. Gronkowski on the sideline. Hasta mañana. He's off to the races. Touchdown, Clovis.
Albuquerque this afternoon.
34-24. Rancho late in the third. How about this run? Nice play. Dickerman. He's still on his feet. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Exactly what they want to get yards.
He's going to go for it. He's got a guy towards the end zone. It's grabs. Touchdown. What a play.
And long here for the Storm. Handoff to, we're going to fake the handoff, excuse me. Davidson on the deep ball. He's got some space, and it's caught. Still on his feet. Touchdown, Storm. Wow. Santa Maria.
So they'll send one deep and returnable at the 2. Usually Volcano do either a reverse or a fake reverse, and here it is a reverse. And a move to the outside. There is a lane. Look out! Shot out of a cannon. Rodriguez is going to take it all the way.
Don't sacrifice quality of flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
Well, I'm going to the frontier, walking to the cashier, order up a root beer and a number 1. Cover it with green stuff, 1 scoop is not enough. Find a booth is real tough, back by the Duke. Meet my family, meet my friends in the quirkiest restaurant I have ever been. All of Albuquerque's favorite spot, it's the Frontier Restaurant.
The Frontier Restaurant is a proud supporter of ProView Sports Network.
I'll just get a little closer.
Oh, instead it's a gorgeous pass.
Here's what he'll
just shoot it.
He's going to go all the way.
He's gonna fire at the buzzer, and he hits.
Great pass, Hadbury, and thank you very much.
Heavyweight tie in the district. Inside, fly, Eagle.
Chavez uses some athleticism. And then Morris down low, able to finish. You called it, Steve, in 10 seconds. And look at this. Stripped, stolen Watson. Christian Lucero beats the buzzer. Here's Ian Chavez, the sharpshooter. Got it.
Could have said that any better. He answered the question. He
On
got
a
another
steal
one.
at the buzzer. Back to back for Chavez.
Medina from the volleyball lines. Medina wants another one from deep. Oh, he wants 10. Give him 10.
Lewis finds Watson. He's going to finish. One-handed slam.
Will Dissly wings on the right side now. Russell on the move, left down. He's going to run. He's going to get it in. Touchdown, Seahawks.
Seattle radio on the call there. Seattle beats LA 22-9. A Goffle performance from Jared Goff and the Rams as Seattle clinches the NFC West. They're moving on. Still a slim chance to hear Ramit next week, but looks like a broken thumb on the throwing hand of Jared Goff, which could be a huge issue. You break your thumb, man. How are you holding that football moving forward? But challenges offensively challenged for the most part, both those teams, where it's a high-level defense, but the offense hasn't been able to match it in LA. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck joined by Ned James. This morning, we got Michael holding it down at Radio Ranch, Jay Pohl, and Josh. They're at ProView Networks. Hopefully, he got that front tooth he was looking for, and I know the holiday season was challenging. It was a lot different. Thankfully for us, my mom has been in our bubble as someone that's helped out watching our son during this time, so we're able to have that moment. But we had to ding-dong ditch my grandpa. We had to show up, ring the doorbell, drop the gift, walk to the driveway, and then have that conversation at a distance. I know a lot of families probably like Zoom get-togethers on Christmas Day. So however you handle the holiday weekend, hopefully you're able to enjoy what you could out of it and take the positive moments when you get them. And definitely one of those moments for me was just being able to watch my son open a toy and freak out. Sometimes you forget just how those simple moments can be so enjoyable.
Yes, they are enjoyable. Those little precious moments, you'll remember those forever. He'll be in college. You'll blink and he'll be in college. So enjoy these times.
Well, that's the way it feels like. He's 2 years old and in January. I know you haven't seen him in what feels like a year, so it's probably going to be shocking when he sees his Uncle Ned again running around out there. Because the last time was, I think, the New Mexico Bowl last year.
That's right.
Probably down there on the sidelines. And then, of course, a couple months later, how everything has changed for us. So hopefully y'all out there are able to enjoy what you could this weekend and take some positivity out of such a difficult time, but thinking about your friends and family and everyone during this time. But we had so much to enjoy in the sports world over the last few days. How about this though too? This year the NFL played on every day of the week. So every day of the week this season, we saw an NFL game. We saw one on Tuesday. We saw one on Wednesday. We saw one on Friday because they stepped up on Christmas. Of course, the game's on Saturday, so it was an NFL takeover this season. But looking at the NFC West, it was the let Russ cook narrative, and it's kind of been a simmer the last couple of weeks with Seattle, but they're going to the postseason. They win the NFC West. You still don't want to count them out in any game because it feels like when you have Russell Wilson, DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, they can be so explosive. But that's been a tough game for them. And the Rams play defense, but unfortunately, Ned, once again, it comes down to Jared Goff just looks off so many times. He can be effective, but it feels like everything has to be going in the right direction for Jared Goff to be a good quarterback, as opposed to him being able to step up and navigate some of those difficult times. I think it was evident yesterday that the interception he threw was a disaster. And then the little things, like I know as a quarterback, you want to protect yourself, but there was a third down run in this game where Jared Goff takes off. I think it's 3rd and 8. He takes off and he was going to, 2 Seattle dudes were coming at him. But if he covers that football, goes forward, he gets a first down. Instead, he slides 2 yards short. And it was just like that moment just kind of encompassed everything that day for Jared Goff, just not quite being able to step up in the biggest moment.
That's because you like these new age guys that can run the ball and these quarterbacks that are not like our typical, prototypical quarterbacks that, know that they are just not physically capable of doing the things athletically that, some of these guys who are running the ball a little bit more can do. With that being said, you still have to wait till the last game to see. That's what makes the NFL such a great game. This last week is going to, everybody can change their opinion in a week. Just think about all the Dallas Cowboy haters from a week ago. There's crickets. Nobody's calling in. Nobody's complaining about Jerry Jones. All these guys all of a sudden think the Dallas Cowboys are Super Bowl contenders. And that's okay. That's okay. With the Rams, it's the same thing. The Rams have tried to figure out a way to get themselves eliminated from the playoffs. They were the team coming into the last 2-3 weeks that everybody was afraid of because they were so good. And then they lose the game to the Jets, and then they win one, and everybody thinks, okay, well, they just had a slip up, and now everybody thinks that, oh my goodness, Jared Goff's not good enough for this team to win. But I don't know. I think Jared Goff's a decent quarterback. I don't know if he rises to the level of the guys who can who can win you a game late, like a Roethlisberger. Those guys can come in later. And the other Methuselah down in Tampa Bay, Tom Brady, those guys can win you some games late. So I'm waiting to see that part of Jared Goff's game. I haven't seen it yet. A lot of people don't think it's in him, but you don't know. He's still relatively young, so we'll see where he goes moving forward. Some of those little quirks that you see with him, not slide, not getting a first down, not challenging, a division opponent in that type of a game to try to win the game. He should get better at that, but at the same time, I don't want to give up on him just yet.
Yeah, it's still is a $100 million quarterback. That's been to the Super Bowl, but there's so many quarterbacks like Jared Goff, in this league. It's position that we analyze the most. It's the most important position in the game because it shows you one dude can put your franchise in a different trajectory. But there's so many Jared Goffs in this league, guys that are good. But you wonder, can they have that moment? And to your point, Ben Roethlisberger was the Walking Dead for the last month of this season. He looked like he was playing the game in quicksand. And that is something we haven't gotten to yet, but it's that turnaround. You talk about, it is a week-to-week league. We know things can change, and you are 100% right in that regard. We watch a game last week, come out Monday morning, quarterback it, saying, they're done. This is the worst team ever. Did Pittsburgh, with all their deficiencies, with as bad as they have looked over the last month, that second half, can that put their season back in the right direction? Because it went from, they were down 21-7 at halftime. Yeah. They look like the same offense that can't run the football. Ben Roethlisberger can't push the football downfield. And then it flipped. And then Phillip Rivers looked like the old guy on the football field, which he still is. And then Ben Roethlisberger kind of got back to the guy we saw early this season. He's making some good throws, pushing it downfield a little bit, and somehow, some way, they win that contest. Can one half of football, even at this point in time, what can that do for the Steelers?
Well, for the Steelers, it's momentum. Now all of a sudden, they can do their TikTok dances and all that sort of stuff because they won when the coach was eliminating them last week after they lost. But now they're doing them again since they won this game. One of the things I heard that I thought was interesting was that they're the only team in the NFL that didn't get a bye week. Like, they were supposed to play a game. They went all the way up to right before the game, and then the game got canceled, and they said, oh, by the way, that's going to be your bye week, even though they had been practicing the whole week. And it wasn't necessarily, it didn't really give them the kind of bye week that most teams give players when they do have bye. So, it's a weird year. It's just a weird year. It's a COVID year. So you just don't know how these things are going to transpire. The teams you think are going to win may not win. I thought the New England Cheaters would be in the playoffs. They didn't get in. I thought, they were at a distinct disadvantage because they had so many guys opt out, which I have an opinion on. But it's, I think Belichick, he knows how to get his guys ready to play now. And it was unfortunate that so many of his defensive guys that were really good last year decided not to play this year. But still, this season is just going to be unique. Pittsburgh, was an undefeated team at one point. They lost a couple games, and everybody wanted to just bury them. But they're still a good team. They're still going to be a tough out. I mean, they've lost a couple players to injuries, but they're still going to be a tough out in these playoffs. And so I'm just fascinated because it's an expanded playoff. I'm fascinated to see how it winds up in the long run during this pandemic. How which teams are going to come out of this NFL playoffs once we get started here in 2 weeks.
And that's why yesterday Kansas City was so happy after that game. After a poor performance, they still won. And what that did is they clinched the number one seed in the AFC, and everyone else will have to play on that opening weekend. Just the top seed in both conferences gets the bye this year in the expanded playoffs, where 7 teams will make the postseason. But from the Walking Dead to life for Ben Roethlisberger over the last month, down 21-7 at half, it was Pittsburgh that outscored Indianapolis 21-3. in the second half. But just get this, it was 206 to 28 in total yards in the first half. That game made no sense and perfect sense all at once with how the Colts and Phillip Rivers played and what we saw out of Ben Roethlisberger in the Pittsburgh Steelers. But can just one half, even this late in the season, change the fate for Pittsburgh? We shall see. But when we come back on the other side, there can only be one ruler of the frozen tundra, and we saw him in action last night. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
You could.
But just all the different scenarios we could see potentially play out ahead of the state tournament.
Moreno extra pass, and Watson. Out with it, Gallegos, and he's gonna run all the way. Window, yes! Able to get out of it. How did he find Battle? It's to Cunningham, and it...
I mean, Ramos' hand.
Ramos puts it up, beats the buzzer!
Boy, Jefferson wide open.
Jefferson to Daraji! Into Watson with the jam!
Another steal by Davina Lovato, and here comes Agbayosi. Lob, two-hand hammer. You knew that was coming. Heck about the lob to Agbayosi, the one-hand hammer.
Put up. And a drive from Parham.
Creates space. He gives it off to Rivas for the three, and he buries it.
Could be coming in soon. Double pick set for Avalos. Goes to the right. Avalos puts it up high. Window. Scores it as foul.
Right here by Lewis all the way, coast to coast, and finish.
What a...
Around the screen, against White, step back, it's blocked! JB with the block!
In transition, ahead to hit on for the two-hand hammer.
Minutes to go, they've got a shot, they have a chance, and it's put up, and it's good! What a three that is by Jalen.
Hidon puts it up.
Rebound Cowboys. Right side David Hall. Thank you very much. Here come the Cowboys. Lamina Lovato lays it up. Missed it. Hey, how about it? Thank you, Lusses. Thank you very much, Raquan Mitchell. Clock at 6. They get it. Barnes Tompkins fires. Yes!
The New Mexico High School Coaches Association, established in 1941, is an organization of New Mexico's best and most professional interscholastic coaches. Coaches across work daily to help our student athletes excel in the classroom, on the field of play, and in our communities. Students that participate in interscholastic activities attain higher grades, higher graduation rates, and higher wages. Responsible for the North-South All-Star Games, statewide Coaches Award Program, and providing multiple professional development opportunities for New Mexico's coaches. Be a great coach by coaching beyond the game.
3 more touchdown receptions for Davante Adams in the frozen tundra that is Lambeau Field in Green Bay. The Packers victorious 40-14 over the Tennessee Titans. Aaron Rodgers after the game saying those that wanted a standout performance against a good football team, well, you got your answer last night. The Packers responded, and to me, they are the best team in the NFC because of that quarterback and that defense. It's the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, joined by our quarterback, Ned James. Micah got Jay Pole and Josh holding it down on the ProView side. The Packers are fantastic, and especially when you know what's coming and you still can't stop it. How do you scheme to stop Davante Adams? Last night, 11 for 142 yards and 3 touchdowns in what should have been a bad passing environment, but it wasn't for Aaron Rodgers going to his go-to guy. You know where it's going, and he can't stop it. Another tremendous night. How about A.J. Dillon stepping up, 124 yards and 2 touchdowns? So, yes, everyone was questioning the selection of Jordan Love in the first round. Maybe some like A.J. Dillon in the second. Well, Jamal Williams was out. A.J. Dillon rose to the occasion because they've been kind of keeping Aaron Jones under wraps so far this season, but a fantastic performance for the Green Bay Packers. Yes, I believe they are the best team in the NFC. I think the Saints have a championship caliber defense, but what I've seen out of Drew Brees, I get he's coming back from the rib injury, hasn't been great. That's why I'm in on the Packers when it comes to the NFC. Oh, you're muted, Ned.
I know. I'm unmuted now. So. No, I was saying how I was teasing Vital about the fact that he was I was teasing Vital concerning that draft pick of Jordan Love in the first round because the Packers were, they needed something other than a quarterback in that first round. Because they were so talented and they were in the NFC Championship game the year before. Go ahead and try to make your team better. And the quarterback thing will come. I mean, when it's time for the quarterback to go, you'll know. While you got that horse, you need to ride him. And so I just think they could have done better with that draft pick. But you're right. They're hitting on all cylinders. I remember playing a game up in Green Bay. It's funny. A friend of mine texted me last night during that game because he remembered coming to that game when I was with the Titans and we played up in Lambeau. Now, we had motivation. I thought McNair always played well against Brett Favre because they were both from Mississippi, and he wanted to be the better Mississippi guy than Brett Favre because Brett always got the recognition of Mississippi as being their golden boy quarterback. And so McNair always, the quarterback's coach would have me laughing because he says, "Oh, you don't have to worry about Steve getting ready for this game, because it's Brett Favre, and so he's going to play good because it's the motivation." And so he was just like, he thought the Titans were just going to roll in Green Bay. And I thought, I don't know, you got to, I don't know what the motivation is for him, but it just seems like Green Bay is just hitting on all cylinders right now. The Packers are just, just seem like their offense and their defense is getting better. Christian Kirksey, I remember him from up in Cleveland. He's a guy that you want on your team because he's a leader, good guy, plus he's a good player. And so I think they've got a lot of things going in their favor right now. We see New Orleans. I still think New Orleans is going to be a tough out with that Alvin Kamara. They're still without their best receiver, and so as soon as he gets back, they'll be cooking on all cylinders again. So.
That's a good point with Michael Thomas, but Alvin Kamara about 6 touchdowns. It's an insane game. on Christmas Day against the Minnesota Vikings. Now, that run game was phenomenal in that moment. You wondered if he was going to get a chance to tie the record because they got Taysom Hill in there stealing goal line carries.
He should have had 7.
He should have had 7 touchdowns in that contest. And that's something we'll get into this morning. I want to talk about the two quarterback system that could emerge the rest of the way for the Saints. But the Packers, I'm with it. I don't know where it came from, but there was a sense that Aaron Rodgers was going to take a step back this year. Like he was just kind of like as good as he is, maybe he's just becoming, good but not great. No, that dude is still great, and it shows how good that combination is. Because if you're a defensive coach, Ned, all right, what's happening? You need to take away Davante Adams, right? That's where the football's going, and you still can't do that. Like teams can't stop Davante Adams and the Aaron Rodgers combination. And then, by the way, we'll just get A.J. Dillon going for 120 yards. But still, it's Rodgers has just been so good this year with his number one guy. But everything in that offense, whether it's Robert Tonyan, and when he needs Valdez-Scantling, he'll put the ball downfield and get a big play there. To your point, that is still a healthy horse, elite-level quarterback in this league.
Right, and he calls the game. Like, he's out there making the checks. He's getting the running back to A.J. Dillon. He's getting the ball to A.J. Dillon in the run game, and then he's checking to his number one receiver all the time. The funny thing I thought in the game was he comes up to the line of scrimmage. That's just the power of media is just phenomenal. And that Aaron Rodgers comes up to the line of scrimmage, and he's looking to his left, and the camera's spotting him looking at his left, and the linebacker's looking right at Aaron Rodgers, and he's coming over here. And Aaron kind of smirks, drops back, and throws the ball to his right. He throws it opposite of where the guy thinks he's throwing it. So he's baiting the guy into thinking one thing when he's going to do another thing, and he throws a touchdown pass to Davante Adams on that play. So it's just one of those things where you just have these guys that are special at that position. They're calling the game. They know what you're in. They know how to get you out of what you're in to best suit them, and that's what he's doing. He's managing that game, and he's one of the best at it. And this is why. I mean, you're seeing the fruits of that.
We still got so much to get to this morning on the opening drive. A big addition in the NL West. Yes, we got some baseball news to get to. The 2-quarterback system in New Orleans, is that something we'll see the rest of the way? Of course, reaction to college football bowl season. Shout out to Jeff Siembieda and company, New Mexico Bowl on Thursday. A little vacation for Jeff following all the work he put in last week. So we are joined by Ned James. We got Micah, we got Jay Pohl and Josh Holland down on Pro V Networks. It is the opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Get into the game with Garden Swartz Team Sales. They have everything you need, from screen printing, embroidery, and digital printing services, high school letterman jackets, and all high school and club uniforms, and individual and team apparel with the most reliable brands like Speedline, Rawlins, and Wilson. And don't forget to check out the latest F7 Shut helmet. It's all at Garden Swartz Team Sales. Give them a call, 505-884-1234. Garden Swartz Team Sales.
Second fielder has got 4 points. Watson, though, goes all the way.
Hit the deck, I should say. Cordova tried to throw it off. Romero, a 3 for...
Set out to Jutapia. Nice move behind his back. It's a good... Here's Ramos, step back, high arcing, 20!
But he needed to get his legs back under him.
Ooh, little kick.
They leave it one more time. Two-hand hammer.
Look at this.
Up top! Yes, and a finish for Akbayosi. Saved into the hands of Riak, ahead of the pack to Davina Lovato. Up high, down hard for Akbayosi. Out of the corner, Casals, the 3-0, Katenge! Let me clean up the mess! He dropped out of the rafters for that one, Steve.
Dorian over. Did he get in?
Yeah, they got in. He got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides looking, still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
An Austin Apodaca, Lamar Jordan situation developing in New Orleans. The Saints were victorious over the Vikings. Alvin Kamara had himself a huge day, 6 touchdowns. But what is the formula going to be offensively for the Saints moving into the postseason? The Dallas Cowboys are still alive. Yes, Omar, your Cowboys are still in the running. They have a chance because of how messy the NFC East is. But guess what? At the end of the day, no one cares what it looks like as long as you get into the postseason. With the NFC East, we will see that play out in Week 17. It's a winner-take-all game for Washington against Philadelphia. The Eagles officially eliminated with that loss to the Dallas Cowboys. Andy Dalton, have yourself a day. 377 yards, 3 touchdown passes, 1 interception. Explosive, as we know the Cowboys skill players can be, but there's still a reason. You know, they have warts just like everyone else in that NFC East, which is why we're looking at 6 and 9 teams with a chance to go to the playoffs. So once you get there, who knows what can happen. It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, joined by our quarterback, Ned James. Michael holding it down at Radio Ranch. We've got Jay Pole and Josh on the ProView side. Maybe Jay Pole could be the next Denver Broncos quarterback, because I have no idea what they think of Drew Lock and the Denver Broncos. Yeah, man, you can take those hits. I see you. You're bulked up. You're ready to go at the quarterback position. The Chargers did not charger. They actually made the field goal at the end of the game to beat the Denver Broncos by 3. But look, before we get into the Saints situation, let's give a little love to the Chargers, which we haven't been able to do a lot this season. Josh, I see you rocking the Chargers gear. I like kind of the old school pullover. You got the the old school Charger colors on there. Credit to Justin Herbert. He broke Baker Mayfield's touchdown record for touchdown passes as a rookie. Baker Mayfield threw 27 back in 2018, and Justin Herbert 28th touchdown pass yesterday, and unfortunately, he did not start the season. Tyrod Taylor was their starting quarterback until the doctor punctured his lung. And then they're like, oh, let's put Justin Herbert in there. Yeah. And you realize, hey, this kid's pretty good. And he was one that, talent-wise, I think everyone watching said, okay, I get why Justin Herbert's here, but he never looked like this at Oregon. Now, Chargers haven't won a lot, but Justin Herbert sure has looked the part as their franchise quarterback.
Yes, but let's give him some time. Let's not, put him in the Hall of Fame yet. Don't give him his gold jacket.
I already had his bronze.
I know. Canton. I know everybody's got his Canton hotel reservation set for when he's going in 2030 or whatever year they say he's eligible to go in. But these young guys, he came onto the scene. He's playing on a really good team. You don't know what the coaching situation is going to be with him next year. Yeah, sure, he's got the talent, he's got everything you want. Let's just slow down. Let's let him. This is the age of COVID.
There's no fun in slowing down, Ned. Right now,
Justin Herbert. I think it's great. It's a great start.
Baker Mayfield is terrible.
I know they're trying to get rid of the coach. So if they get rid of the coach, they bring in a new coach. will he be able to adjust to the new coach? And a lot of people think automatically, well, sure, he's a great player. It doesn't matter who the coach is. It's just him playing, and you don't need coaching. You just need him out there. And a lot of people believe that, and a lot of times it's not necessarily the case. So we'll have to wait and see. Obviously, they're not going to the playoffs this year, but they've had a decent season. They're in a tough conference. And so that's why a lot of people are giving them kind of a little bit of a pass with their record. But he's got to come out. He's got to get them to a playoff. If he can get into a playoff, then you can say, okay, he has arrived. But until that magical, mystical moment, he's still behind Baker Mayfield, because Baker Mayfield may go to the playoffs this year.
Well, they're going to the playoffs. They just kind of missed out on the chance to potentially win the division. And speaking of Baker Mayfield, which is a good transition in this conversation, because he was a guy, to your point, Ned, rookie season, throws 27 touchdown passes, number 1 overall pick. Like, oh my goodness, Cleveland has their dude. Struggled last year, and then it was, well, maybe Baker Mayfield's not any good. Comes back this year. Yesterday was bad. It was a bad day for the Cleveland Browns. Yeah, you lost all your receivers. You had like one dude on your roster, but still, you're going in.
That's kind of a big thing to lose all your receivers.
It is. It's kind of a big thing not having Jarvis Landry there, and he has played pretty well the last couple weeks. But you go in there, Nick Chubb, Kareem Hunt against a Jets team that, if you needed a reminder that these dudes get paid and actually still do care on bad teams, look at the New York Jets the last 2 weeks. They've had nothing to play for. Like, their fans are upset they're winning games, because now that means Trevor Lawrence is not going to be their quarterback. Like, Sam Darnold is the happiest dude in the world because he knows he's going to be the starting quarterback of the New York Jets next season. And who knows, they might have just messed around enough that ownership group will bring Adam Gase back. They haven't fired him at this point in time. They're rolling with him in their own 13. You win 2 games in a row, maybe bring the whole band back together. But what you see out of the New York Jets is dudes that cared, that realized, like, hey, I want my paycheck. I want an opportunity to get a paycheck next season, and to beat the Rams and beat the Browns, even with those receivers out. That is a disappointing performance with Cleveland. Everything that was on the line, knowing that if you win, you go into week 17 with a chance to win that division and beat the Pittsburgh Steelers for that top spot. They lose to the Jets. The Steelers come back and win. Steelers win the division. But I think Baker Mayfield, to your point, has been that guy. Riding that rookie wave, struggled. I think Kevin Stefanski is a great coach for him right now because they found an identity. It's Baker Mayfield's not a dude that's going to go out there and win a game a la Aaron Rodgers. The guys that we talk about kind of separate themselves. Yeah. But you give him that run game, he can make plays downfield. Even without receivers, Baker Mayfield fumbling the ball on the final 2 drives, especially that 4th and 1 quarterback sneak, which you can't advance football under 2 minutes, so it didn't matter if a Cleveland Browns player recovered it. It was 4th down. He took ownership of it. He said he has to play better. That was a disappointing game for the Browns yesterday.
Well, it's disappointing if you're the Cleveland Browns, but if you're Sam Darnold and you're playing for your job, which you have to play for when you're playing the Los Angeles Rams and the Cleveland Browns, he's technically playing for his job because he loses those games and they may be drafted that other quarterback from Clemson. But he wins those 2 games, and all of a sudden, maybe he needs the Herbert. What's Herbert's first name? The quarterback from St. Chargers.
Justin Herbert.
Maybe he needs the Justin Herbert gold jacket now. Maybe he's going into the Hall of Fame. Maybe he's all of a sudden a great player. I mean, Sam Darnold is a good player. He is a really good quality quarterback. And 2 weeks ago, he was a bum that they were getting ready to get rid of so they could bring another guy in. And he was the top-rated quarterback coming out in the draft, even though Baker Mayfield got drafted ahead of him. He's a good player. I mean, he played well in that game. So a lot of people think that, it was just Baker playing bad. Yeah, Baker didn't have a great game. But Sam Darnold played pretty good. He had some pretty good throws in that game. And he doesn't have the greatest amount of talent around him. And so, with that being said, I mean, I think that Sam Darnold is a quality quarterback. Is he great? Maybe not to that level of greatness that everybody thinks. Because everybody, and I'm going to tell you who's getting, in 2031, who's going into Canton with a gold jacket already too. He probably had one 4 years ago, and that's the quarterback from Clemson. I'm losing his name right now.
Trevor Lawrence.
Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is already going into the Hall of Fame as an NFL quarterback, and he hasn't even played in the NFL yet. He hasn't even been drafted yet, and everybody's already saying how great he's going to be. People, slow down. These guys, these college quarterbacks coming into, they're comparing them to Elway, to Marino, to guys that are in Canton already. He hasn't even taken a snap in the NFL yet. And Trevor Lawrence may be a great player. He has all the tools there for him to be a great player. But things happen. Things happen when you come to the NFL. You have coaching. You have this thing called the other teams. You have to beat them. You have to win against them in order to become a great player. And so he has done none of those things yet. And so we have to really kind of slow down and give ourselves some time. It takes guys time to develop. You're not going to have these young guys come in and just set this NFL thing on fire. Every team's got millionaires, and nobody, I don't care how rich you are, you're not giving $1 million to a guy who can't play. There's guys that can play on every team. So you're going to have to do some things to, achieve greatness. I think Sam Darnold is progressing. It's like Josh Allen. I mean, everyone thinks Josh Allen in Buffalo. He's doing some great things, but I do think Sam Darnold is going to be a pretty good player. My bias is towards the California quarterbacks. That's another subject we can talk about at some other point. These California quarterbacks and these Texas quarterbacks, they're the ones who usually shine. So I'm waiting to see Sam Darnold kind of rise to the level, but he's going to need some help, and that's what's going to happen eventually, and he'll eventually show how good a quarterback he really is.
Well, the Cleveland Browns dropped the ball. Well, they didn't have anyone to catch the football on Sunday, but the New York Jets, back-to-back victories. We were sitting there. I was rooting for 0-16 just a little bit because I thought Adam Gase was an absolute disaster to start the season. But credit to the Jets, man. You got to give them credit because it could have been so easy for that entire team. When you look at Adam Gase potentially, not being the head coach, winless, to pack it in. Now we've heard Jamal Adams talk about it, the former New York Jet, who's been very happy to go into the playoffs. But sometimes you have to just take a step back and say, you know what? Good on you. And that's the New York Jets the last 2 weeks. Even if Jet fans might be upset because you're missing out on Trevor Lawrence, well, now you get a chance to find out. So we got 2 more years of Sam Darnold under that rookie contract. I don't know what to think about Adam Gase. I still think you probably move on, but crazier things have happened. And 1 win, let alone 2 wins in a week-to-week league, maybe change your mind just a little bit. When we come back on the other side, some big baseball news dropping on an NFL Sunday. Another team in the NL West makes a move swinging for the fence. I'll tell you about that next. The opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Dorian over. Did he get in?
Yeah, they got in.
Touchdown, Dorian Lewis.
Seconds to play. Benavides still looking up the middle. It's intercepted. It's picked off by Freddie Anaya, and Roswell's season will end perfect.
Second quarter, 2nd and 4 for Socorro at the whole 44-yard line. McDaniel trying, good block by Hicks. First down and more, 30, 25, 20. McDaniel might be gone. Touchdown.
Wow.
Touchdown for Michael McDaniel.
It's 40 seconds this year. It's not like 25 like it used to be.
He laterals it back. What a play by Hightower. Pitch.
Looked like somebody moved a little bit early. Hicks, the play fake double move. He's got his receiver wide open. Caught. 1 man to beat. Touchdown. Touchdown to number 17, Nathaniel.
Third and 6. Big defensive play coming up here. Little trickery to Reese. See you later. Touchdown. They went for the deep ball to Reese.
To the right, single receiver split to the left. Play fake. Head up the middle. It's got some room. 50, 45, 40. Has one man to beat. 30, 25, 10, 5. Touchdown. Touchdown, Hope.
Wow.
On a...
Option again, he'll keep it. Now he'll pitch it. Comes out to the 30, 25, 20, up the sideline. Still inbounds into the end zone. Let's see.
Touchdown.
Touchdown, Portell.
Davison in the play action, looking. He's going to go back to Lewis, and Lewis makes a cut, and Lewis still on his feet. Dorian Lewis is in for a touchdown. So Davison back to toss, and he's got all day. It's one miss, and he's rolling. He's got a guy. Can he get it there? Davison to Luke Weissong.
We told you he
touchdown.
could spin that football, and that was a throw right there. I know he's got the win in his back, but
shoot. They'll get one off, and it'll count high off the window.
Oh my gosh.
There's a long three.
Boom.
Bang. Martinez will beat the buzzer. Got it to go. His
Fork driving kick. Three's in the air. It's good.
Nice pass on the nice block by Hernandez Crawford.
And Brown in the transition. But why not, Steve? Is Corbalon's going to go and he puts it away. And Corbalon wants to put it down. Here comes Screechers. Brown, you can't leave him alone. Put it down.
Gershon in transition. 3-on-2. Gershon going to go all the way. Whoa, Morgan.
The San Diego Padres, they're fun to watch last season. They made another gigantic move yesterday to acquire a former Cy Young Award winner, but in this case, someone that still has plenty left in the tank. The opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, The Sports Animal. JJ Buck, joined by Ned James. This morning, got Michael holding it down at Radio Ranch, Jay Pole and Josh on the ProView side. Of course, you can watch us, Comcast Channel 26, stream us online. Facebook is a great way to interact with the show as well. Search for ProView Networks, like the page, so you can see when all the videos pop up and all the other shows, of course, you got running on ProView Networks. Find us facebook.com/theod in the AM as well. Quan's Auto Care hotline is 2460610. Send an email, jj@610canml.com. You can find me on Twitter as well. It's _JJ Buck. But the Padres acquire Blake Snell, the starter from the Tampa Bay Rays. Of course, Snell, the last moment that we remember of him was being removed in Game 6. He was throwing a gem against the LA Dodgers. 9 strikeouts over 5 1/3 innings. Only gave up 1 run. Kevin Cash comes out, removes him from the game. All of us there sitting at home, managing on our couch, we're like, what are you doing? Why are you making this move? The Dodgers then go on to score 2 runs, win the game, win the World Series. So I know, Ned, I'm very happy about that. The kid who grew up in LA down the street from Dodger Stadium, seeing your Dodgers win the World Series this season, that had to be a fun thing for you.
Yes, Kevin Cash is very popular in Los Angeles as a result of him pulling the likes of Mr. Snell out of that game. That game was, like you said, it was absolutely being pitched as a gem by Snell until he was pulled. The Padres, this is a coup for them. I know they're giving up a lot of young talent to get him, but it is an absolute coup for them to get him in that tough NL West. This is kind of a little bit of a game changer in so much as the Dodgers trying to repeat with that staff that they have, with the team that they have put together. They should be able to repeat. But with Snell and San Diego, and I don't think this is the end for them. I think they're going to keep pushing the envelope, trying to get better players to come down there. Since they did make a playoff run, they're going to be a little bit more attractive. Also, it's San Diego. Who doesn't like San Diego? So everybody wants to live in San Diego with the weather. And so I think this is a great move. Major League Baseball trying to kick off this spring. They're going to have to, with everything that's going on, these ballparks are, California may not, some of their local orders may not be in place where you're getting fans in, but you got to find a way to win still. So hopefully this is a move that kind of propels San Diego. I think it's important that teams are competitive, and I think the Dodgers need some competition, and this looks like it's going to be their chief competition this year.
Well, and the thing we've seen about the Dodgers is the depth they have in pitching. And I think Clayton Kershaw, his postseason performance overall, finally winning the World Series is huge for him. But the key is he still pitches at a high level. And then you have Walker Buehler. And then you have the other dudes in that rotation that the Dodgers can throw at opponents. The Padres didn't have that. They went big. They acquired Mike Clevinger from Cleveland. Unfortunately, he got hurt, so he didn't get a chance to pitch for the Padres, and he has Tommy John surgery. So that was a big move for them, acquiring an ace talent from Cleveland, but they had to do it again. And to your point, they gave up a lot of prospects, but they're also pretty good at certain positions with young Fernando Tatis Jr. That they can make a move like this, and you love to see it if you're a fan of that team. Going in once again, acquiring that ace for the top of your staff. Now, depth is still going to be a question. Now, that's where the Dodgers have the advantage over everyone else in the NL West. You like to see the Padres challenging them in those regards with the high-profile acquisitions, bringing talent, investing in the major league team itself. So there's still a lot to do, but they finally have that established starter atop the rotation. For Blake Snell, the last 2 years. Well, 2 years ago was a little rough. His ERA was over 4, but the strikeouts per 9 inning were still really high. And that dude is still a swing and miss pitcher, which is going to be huge in that division. And the Dodgers, they're still the favorites. The Mookie Betts acquisition, just a superstar player. Saw what he did, Cody Bellinger, etc. Yeah, we know how good they are. The Rockies are a mess. San Francisco is a little bit better than expected, winning 29 games as they are rebuilding their franchise. Arizona, who knows what they're going to look like. So it's the Dodgers and it's the Padres. This was a huge move for them to try to keep pace in that division. And Dave Roberts coming back, they're gonna be tested. And I do believe that this Padres team, even in spurts, what we saw last year, those young guys are going to continue to play at a high level. And I think the difference ultimately is the pitching staff. The starting pitching for the Dodgers is better, but then how do you piece it together? When it comes to the depth, the bullpen, can the Padres piece it together enough to push the Dodgers for the division? I'm not quite sure that they're that good yet, but when it comes to the postseason, if they get back there, they can go on a run.
And that's the right word you use, piece. They have to piece things together. You have to get the pieces in place in order for you to challenge any team in Major League Baseball. And I think San Diego's moving in the right direction when it comes to putting pieces together. The Dodgers have all the right pieces. They have all the right players. And that's why they were able to win the World Series. Now, I think there's other teams that are piecing it together. This money ball has changed the game. But at the end of the day, you're going to have to spend some money if you want to get a championship. If you don't have that top tier player, you are not going to win the championship, and that's been proven. The Yankees are getting there every year. The Dodgers are getting there. The Red Sox, Houston putting some money into their baseball team, and so that's why they're able to compete the way they are. But still, I think San Diego is really making a strong push with the Snell acquisition. I really like Snell. I'm thankful to Kevin Cash for pulling him, because if he stayed in that game, I think that series would have been a total. Especially the way what was it, the outfitter for the Rays, Arondaze. What is this? I can't remember how you say his name. The outfitter that was really just knocking the ball all over the place. They had a chance to get the Dodgers, and pulling Snell out of that game really cost them that game. But I think that what San Diego is looking like from the hitting standpoint, Tatis Jr., and also who's our other guy, another big slugger on the team there. I'm losing his name. The other big slugger for the San Diego Padres, other than Tatis. So they've got two big hitters. They got two big home run hitters on that squad in San Diego, and I'm hoping to see it be close. I'd like to see the Dodgers get pushed a little bit. I'm like you said, I grew up down the street from Dodger Stadium. I can remember going to see Padres with Dave Winfield and those guys playing for the Padres. So I want to see the Dodgers get pushed a little bit. I mean, they kind of ran away with it this year, and San Diego kind of showed themselves a little bit. The Arizona-Colorado thing, that's just not. I don't see that really coming anywhere. Both places seem like
being a fan of anyone other than the Dodgers in the NL West is a challenge. And a Rockies fan, raising my hand right now, what a mess it is. You think you have something, right? Nolan Arenado, the cornerstone of your franchise. Trevor Story, you got some legit hitters, and it's just still so messy because it's so hard to run down that team. But to your point, competition is good. Because if you have the Padres that can actually start nipping at the heels of the Dodgers, it keeps those guys locked in. It gives Dave Roberts something to keep harping on. Because, if the Dodgers lost in the World Series, Dave Roberts was gone. They're going to have to change everything. Like, it just wasn't working. They weren't listening to their manager. He was making the wrong decisions. But now, all right, you got your World Series. You're feeling good. You got an up-and-coming team right behind you. And it gives you that little motivation of, okay, let's get back. These guys think they're going to run us down. No, we're going to go out there and show them that this is still our division.
Yeah, and Dave Roberts has to sell. He has to have something to sell. And you're right. If the other teams are getting better, it gives him something to push the Dodgers with. But it's still going to be. I still like to see Arizona and Colorado still make it. If the Padres are getting close, those other teams have to stay close with the Padres as well. So I'm just looking forward to a baseball season where we can get some sort of competition, get it closer than it's been with the Dodgers kind of running away the last couple of years. I do like the fact that we did win a World Series. It was in the throes of a global pandemic, but at the same time, I do like the fact that we're going to be better.
There's no asterisk. You're going to hang that banner. You got the World Series rings. As a fan, you still enjoy it. Hey, whether you're bubbling in Orlando, as we saw the NBA season, what the NHL did up in Canada, the wins count. The banners are still going to be hanging from the rafters, and those championship rings ain't any cheaper because you won them in 2020. We come back on the other side. We're going to talk about the New Orleans Saints. I want to get our quarterback's opinion on how Sean Payton will handle Drew Brees and Taysom Hill the rest of the way with a team that can compete, a team that has enough talent to win the NFC. That is next. The opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
Dribble, spin cycle, up and under move. What a pass, wrap around pass.
Harris, Legate,
The long bomb, 3 ball. Oh, great steal by Quinteros, lays it up and scores.
A whole little jump step in the... And look out, here comes Agbayosi. Crawford set. That's blocked. Lansing says, get that out of here. Sister to sister, Marianne Lansing's going to go all the way. Turnaround. Ramos, pump fake, everyone bites. Ramos hits.
Jackson loses it. Taylor Bond back. LAU. Put it down. Dunkalicious. How about it?
Lovato driving. They're going to count it. Gallegos. Ooh, a little spin and a finish. Here's Natalia Chavez. Good spin. Takes a...
Here's Ramos. Nice jump stop through the...
Maybe gambling a little bit. Oh, there's a...
Hill, little step, high window. Got the second.
The middle. Here we go. 3.9. It's Cooper's going to run with it. Cooper's going to swing it out to Lowry. Lowry. Portillo couldn't get it off, and Clovis goes in. It's waved off. He did not get it off in time. Portillo.
Reverse layup. Gallegos spins. Window. Finishes.
There's a run coming from...
Lazy pass. Here comes Crawford. It might be showtime. Let's play it over to Madrid. Plays it across the box off the dasher. It's settled. Shot on by Garcia. Trickles in. Goal.
Chavez blocked at the rim. And here's Dorian Lewis to Watson.
Shot on and just wide. Big deflection. Goal.
Final Monday night game of the NFL season. Just like that, the season comes and it goes. Buffalo and New England tonight, the AFC East champs, the Buffalo Bills. Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs taking on Bill Belichick, Cam Newton, and the Patriots. You can hear that game right here on The Sports Animal. It is the opening drive. JJ Buck joined by our quarterback, Ned James. Michael holding it down at Radio Ranch. Got J. Pole and Josh on the ProView side. Quan's Auto Care hotline is 246-0610. We look at the New Orleans Saints, Ned, and I think talent-wise, they are with Green Bay. There are two teams in NFC that stand out above the rest. It is those two football teams, especially with what they're able to do defensively. I was not in on Taysom Hill, but I credit Sean Payton and that team for what they got out of Taysom Hill when Drew Brees was out of the lineup. But there have been moments. You got to look at a dude that broke more ribs than we knew we had in the human body, and Drew Brees coming back 2 games. Now, one of his interceptions against Minnesota on Friday, went off the hands of his receiver. So there's things like that you have to look at. But there's still a lot of passes that Drew Brees has been making. They're just bad passes. Like, not a lot of zip on the football, but he's still the dude that you feel can put them in the right position. How do you see, though, the rest of the way, knowing that Taysom Hill has worked in this offense? He's a Swiss Army knife guy. How do you think Sean Payton handles that combination with a football team that has the talent to get to the NFC Championship game?
Well, he's going to watch Drew Brees closely. It's tough when you have a veteran quarterback who normally will tell you when he's not, ready to, when he's ready to leave the game, or when he doesn't have it, so he shouldn't be out there. And so I'm sure Drew Brees is not telling his coach, Sean Payton, that he wants to come out of the game. And so Sean's got a plan where he plays Taysom. He's got a package for Taysom Hill. But other than that, he's going to let Drew Brees play. With that being said, that's their game plan. They just use the 2 quarterback system. They're paying Taysom Hill a ton of money to be in that 2 quarterback system. It's fascinating because you got a number 1 overall pick. That's the 3rd quarterback in Jameis Winston. So with that being said, Drew Brees, you got to drag him off the field. These Texas high school quarterbacks, I'm just telling you, that's where it comes from. It's embedded in those kids, those Texas kids. Drew Brees is one of those tough Texans. You're going to have to drag him off that field kicking and screaming, or else he's not going to leave. And so that's what Peyton is up against. I think he just uses the little 2 quarterback system just as a changeup. I think, maybe to give Drew Brees a little bit of a break, even though Drew probably doesn't think he needs a break. But it's a changeup, and you got to prepare for Taysom Hill.
Yeah.
And he's shown that he can throw the ball a little bit. So it's just a little wrinkle that they have on their offense. I think that confuses people a little bit, but I don't know if it's really that much of a difference. I think Peyton uses it just to maybe spell his quarterback a little bit, but I don't think it's necessarily a 2 quarterback system, because they're not playing them equal amounts of time. I think he's going to give Drew Brees the majority of the time, but he's going to sprinkle in Taysom Hill as a changeup, which he thinks he needs. He thinks he has a good enough package with Taysom Hill to do some damage in a game.
Yeah, and you know Michael Thomas is on the IR. They wanted to hold him out the rest of the year to try to get him right for the postseason. So Drew Brees on Friday was 19 of 26, 311 yards, no touchdowns, 2 interceptions, but it was also the fact that they ran for 7 touchdowns as a football team. Alvin Kamara had 6, Taysom Hill had 1, so that's a little different element. I think Taysom Hill in the red zone has been a good factor because you just line up, play power football, and that's been effective for the Saints and that offense. But 6 touchdowns in an NFL game. The last time that happened was 1929. What were they doing in 1929? I have no idea. But the last time one dude.
They had the Syracuse Comet, Ernie Nevers, on that team. That's why they were able to do it. He was the last guy to do it. But I just thought that goal line thing. Why wouldn't you put Alvin Kamara? I don't think it's necessarily Taysom Hill that's able to run that play. I think you can get anybody, a running back, to run that play. You just don't have the pass component to it. But I just think with the Alvin Kamara and Drew Brees and the receiver that's on the injured list,
Michael Thomas.
Michael Thomas. With Michael Thomas, I just think it's just a formidable offense, and that's just the way it is. Now Taysom comes in as a changeup. He's done a good job as a changeup guy, and so I don't think Drew Brees really thinks he needs a Taysom Hill. In his mind, I don't need this guy coming in for a package of plays. every game. What do I need that for? That could be an extra package for me to score. I don't need, him to come in the middle of the game, take my place. But that's just how quarterbacks think. But Taysom Hill's been productive.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It was one that they're a good enough football team so where they can get away with that and it can work. If you go earlier in the year, the Carson Wentz, Jalen Hurts situation, like that didn't work. Like they were a bad football team, struggling quarterback, and then you try to mix it in, and then it looks bad. In this case, it's worked well for the most part, and then you saw Taysom Hill in that starting role excel, which is just wild that how good the Saints have been the last 2 years without Drew Brees at the quarterback position. That's a credit to the organization, the coaching staff, and the team as a whole. And speaking of coaches, Ned, we need to talk about what happened to the Detroit Lions. They already have an interim head coach, Darrell Bevell.
Wow, yeah.
They're struggling. Tom Brady in the first half on Saturday threw 4 touchdowns. Like Blaine Gabbert came into the game and threw 2 touchdowns. That's how bad of a day it was for the Detroit Lions on Saturday, where Tom Brady and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were able to pad their stats, clinch a postseason berth, so they are going to the playoffs. But 348 yards, 4 touchdowns for Tom Brady. Blaine Gabbert threw for 143 yards and 2 touchdowns, which is wild that your backup quarterback comes in and does that in the game that you are in total control in, 47-7. So the Bucs destroying the Lions, really no surprise. What I want to get your take on, Ned, is you've been a coach in this league. So let's say it's Thursday, 2 days from game day. You guys are playing Saturday. It's, Thursday or Friday, whatever it is. 2 days away from game day. You're Ned James. You're doing your thing. You're wide receiver coach. They come to you. They're like, hey, Ned, by the way, half our coaching staff has COVID. So we're going to have you be the head coach this game. How challenging is that? And what kind of wrench does that throw into the plans?
Well, it throws a wrench into your plan. But, this just goes to show you that not everybody could be the head coach or the offensive coordinator. A lot of guys, you'll hear GAs, you'll hear guys say all the time, hey, I could do just as good a job as the head coach. That's not necessarily the case. A lot of times, the coach, the offensive coordinator's plans are not the same as the plans of the GAs that are sitting in the back room going, I would have called this play. This was a dumb call by the offensive coordinator. And now all of a sudden, you're the offensive coordinator. It's just unfortunate that these guys were put in that position. They had a COVID outbreak, so all their assistants were relegated to home confinement, and so they had to have these assistants come out and run the team. And so the receivers coach became the head coach. I guess some of the GAs or the quality coaches were put in positions that they had to call the plays. They had to call the offense. And so it just didn't go the way that, and the defense was the same way. And so there's a little bit more to strategizing during the game. They had the call sheets all put together, so they knew exactly what they were going to call. It was just unfortunate that they weren't, they weren't able to call the right defenses and the right offensive plays to make that game a competitive game. I think a lot of young coaches were hoping that, see, we could do it too, These young guys that were on the staff that were, just used to maybe assisting coaches. Now all of a sudden they're put in the spotlight, and it was just a tough situation to be put in. And a lot of people thought that these young coaches were going to be able to just adjust. It's a little bit different than what Denver went through with their quarterback, in that all their coaches were there, so they knew what kind of package they had to have, and they could give him specific instructions on what they wanted him to do. To not really make the game out of control. But when you're the assistant to the assistant, and now all of a sudden you're calling the game, it's a little bit different, and it's a thing where you're dealing with professional athletes, and you got to know exactly what you're doing, or else it's not going to go well.
And then you have Matthew Stafford sprain his ankle. You go through 3 quarterbacks in the game. It is a rough day. I can call a great game on Madden. All I have to do is press A, B, or X to make my play call. It's a little bit different at the NFL level, no doubt about it. We come back on the other side. We'll take a look at tonight's Monday Night Football game. And what does it mean for the Buffalo Bills and these teams in the AFC East to make a statement against New England Patriots, even if the Patriots are struggling? It's opening drive here on 95.9 FM, AM 610, the Sports Animal.
With this first field goal. Look at that. That's gorgeous.
Not a game you can go have 25 turnovers in and win.
Get that out of here, Watson says. Here comes Hodnett all the way. He's blocked in return. Dickey, did he get it off? He did, and he hit it. They're really... Oliveris. Wild three, and it hit.
Another steal nearly by Hidon. It is a steal. Avalos ahead to Hidon. The two-hand hammer by Hidon. I knew he was going to put that one down.
ProView Networks tonight.
District matchup there.
Davidson took it away in transition. Might be time for a jam. Yes.
Oh!
Big Barton, watch him, coach. Watch the inbounder.
Dumas Sanchez in the corner.
Back to Barton with 2.4 seconds left. Fires for the win.
And he got it!
He scored!
Oh my God!
On a last-second shot.
He did! Oh my God!
Bakes it in from 25 feet and watch the celebration right in front of us. What a shot by Barton. He was double-teamed and somehow found a way to get it in. Ramos to Gaxiola, high window for the win. It's good. It counts. Gaxiola with the game winner for a Driscoll Heritage.
Melfi can cash it in. He's got some protection. Deep ball. Erickson's open. Touchdown, Monarchs.
Second and 10. Smith looking, and he's going to fire over the middle, and he's got his guy, and it's another big play. Walking away for a touchdown, Tristan Altier.
They're going to hand it off to Chavez. Chavez breaking tackles, look out! Chavez up the sideline, stays in bounds, touchdown, Volcanovic!
That replay,
I got you.
Measurement, I mean.
Smith's got a fire on first down, and he's on the outside. There's a lot of room for Brad Thomas. A move, and he's set free. Dance into the end zone. Touchdown. So it goes.
He'll run with it. Stumbling. Gets down into the end zone. They're looking to throw it. And he throws it in the end zone. Caught!
First and 10 from the 11.
I mean, this is obviously a Patriots team that's extremely well coached, and we know that, AFC East games are tough to win, especially winning a second time. After they've been able to see us, they've got us on film, obviously all that stuff, and he's arguably the greatest coach of all time coaching that team. They're always going to be ready, always going to be prepared. So we got to be on our P's and Q's.
P's and Q's. That is Buffalo Bills quarterback Josh Allen as the final Monday Night Football game of the season tonight right here on the Sports Animal. Buffalo at New England. And to his point, the first time these teams played this year, it was 24-21. Buffalo won, but it was a close game. Now we've seen a lot more struggles, especially offensively, as of late for the New England Patriots. Buffalo 7-point favorites. It's opening drive. JJ Buck joined by Ned James, Micah, J. Pole, Josh holding it down on the ProView side. I think Josh Allen has been the biggest surprise to me this season. We knew he's a talented guy. He has a big arm. He can make plays, but the step that he has taken as a quarterback this year in the overall game. Because when you watched him at Wyoming, I know, Ned, you were one that when you were down on the field, you saw the talent, but you wonder, all right, does he have all the other things needed? They didn't ask him to do any of this. Right? Wyoming is pretty much you're under center, handoff, 2 tight ends, 2 wide receivers, kind of just the basic 11 personnel. Well, now that he's been in the NFL and they've asked him to handle spread offense out of the shotgun, he has developed really well. And the biggest thing to me, and I know as a quarterback it matters to you, is accuracy. Where he is putting the football this season, he took a step forward in that regard.
Yeah, that's the one thing I think that he has really, really taken off on is the accuracy and not making the big mistake. And that's what you want out of rookie quarterbacks, is you don't want him to make mistakes. Or young quarterbacks, I shouldn't say, he's not a rookie anymore. But he hasn't made big mistakes. And he's learned that his defense is what's going to carry this team. And all he has to do is do enough to get them enough points to kind of stay close and in the game, and somehow their defense is going to give them a chance to win the game. And he's learned that, and he's gotten better. I mean, he got better when I was up in Cleveland. We played Buffalo, and I saw him because it was his rookie year, just with Baker. And I thought just in that preseason game that he was in there, he had improved leaps and bounds from what I had thought of him, because he wasn't making the big mistake. He wasn't just throwing the ball wildly out there. He really had come into this area where he was going to check it down. He wasn't going to make these big, outrageous throws off the scramble like he had been doing in college. And I thought, he really kind of honed in on his accuracy, or tried to hone in on it. But to me, you kind of revert back to who you are at some point. And that's why I'm curious to see how he does in the playoffs. Because when you get in the playoffs, that window gets smaller and smaller to get those balls in. And I'm going to see if he's going to try to force it, or if he's going to stay within himself when he's playing. And he's able to squeak out a win for Buffalo, because that's going to be important. If he can get a win for Buffalo in the playoffs, that will go a long way in helping his career get launched and move it in the right direction. It'll really propel his career, I think, if he can get a playoff.
Yeah, so Josh Allen, that's a good point. He's not making the big mistake, but he is making the big plays. Stephon Diggs was a great addition to this offense. He has over 100 catches this season. It's always nice as a quarterback when you have that one read you can go to. Whether or not it's a perfect route, perfect play, you have a guy you can hone in on that can bail you out, but hey, put the football here, he's going to bring it in, and that's been Stephon Diggs. But also the fact that in this division, the Patriots have been running it, no doubt about it. Bill Belichick, Tom Brady, year in and year out. And now finally, Brady moves down to Tampa Bay, and there are struggles. Yes, the opt-outs are real defensively. Cam Newton in that offense, there's been plenty of games where they haven't looked good at all. So even in a down year, the Dolphins, when they beat the Patriots last week and officially eliminated from the playoffs, took a little pride in that. Dolphins fans had to really enjoy it. Even Brian Flores, being off the Belichick coaching tree, had to still know how big a moment that was. And the same thing goes for Buffalo, being AFC East division winners. Finally taking that step forward. Yeah, they beat them once, but a chance to sweep the Patriots any year, as long as Bill Belichick is the coach of that team, everyone else in the division, it doesn't matter how good or bad New England is playing, is going to enjoy these moments if you can beat that team.
Right. Be careful now. Buffalo, you may think you're pretty good. You think you're going to these playoffs right and high. You're playing New England tonight. This is a game you want to keep that momentum going as you're going into the playoffs. Bill Belichick has had some success against Josh Allen, so I'm curious to see how well Buffalo plays tonight in this Monday night game. Because New England will have something for him. Belichick and the New England Cheaters will have something ready for Josh Allen come tonight, because they're going to be prepared. And losing last week to Miami, Bill is not going to take kindly to that. He's going to really be pushing this team to do something good. He really does like Cam Newton, I think. And I think I don't like Cam as much as Belichick likes him. But I think he wants something to prove on his way out of the playoffs this year. And I don't think they're going to go down line laying down with these teams that they're playing towards the end of the season.
That is tonight. You can hear the game right here on the Sports Animal. Monday Night Football, Buffalo and New England. Appreciate you, Ned. It was awesome having you back on the show. Look forward to hanging out with you the rest of the week. Micah, great job as always, keeping us on track. The guys at ProView, J. Pole and Josh, good job. You can also rewatch the show coming up 3 o'clock on Comcast Channel 26 if you would like. We got Jim Rome Show coming up next. Dan Patrick Show on Sports Bar. Carlisle Trujillo coming at you at 3 o'clock. And then Monday Night Football here on the Sports Animal. Everybody, Meta World, peace and love. We'll talk tomorrow at 7.
Call it as Javi's looking, and he's got a guy wide open, and it's Gay, and he's going to walk into the end zone. But he did a good job with it. First and goal, it's Chavez to the middle, and Chavez stops.
And Stevens in motion. On the handoff to Mitchell. Look out! Oh, see you later. Take it to the house. Fly, Cardinals fly. To the other side, provide some protection. And off to Webskowski again. Look out! See you later. Good night. Touchdown, Webskowski. Day. He's going to fire to the end zone. Open man! Touchdown! Wildcat! Not a defender inside. A little bit. Kowski on the sideline! Hasta mañana! He's off to the races! Touchdown, Clovis!
Albuquerque this afternoon.
34-24, Rancho, late in the third. How about this run? Nice play. Dickerman, he's still on his feet. Touchdown, Wolverine.
Exactly what they want to get yards.
He's going to go for it. He's got a guy towards the end zone. It's grabbed. Touchdown. What a play.
Long here for the Storm. Handoff to, we're going to fake the handoff, excuse me. Davidson on the deep ball. He's got some space, and it's caught! Still on his feet. Touchdown, Storm! Wow. Santa Maria!
And so they'll send one deep. and returnable at the 2. Usually Volcano do either a reverse or a fake reverse, and here it is a reverse. And a move to the outside. There is a lane. Look out! Shot out of a cannon. Rodriguez is going to take it all the way.
Don't sacrifice quality and flavor when you're in a hurry. Golden Pride offers ribs, fried chicken, green and red chili breakfast burritos, and Frontier Cinnabons. 4 great locations, or visit us online at goldenpride@abq.com. Golden Pride Barbecue Chicken and Ribs, proud supporter of Provia Sports Network.